What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another week, another episode of the Daily Grind. We're in another different month. I know I streamed on Monday, but we're back at the normal place of business here, which is my house. On today's show, we're going to be talking about the Halo Studios hit by layoffs just weeks after the campaign Involve came out, or as we call it, Devolve. And then we're also going to talk about Laura Fryer's, we're going to watch and talk about Laura Fryer's inside the secret meetings behind gaming layoffs. So we're going to watch that as well. And then we're also going to talk about how Money Works is a channel. He's talking about WTF is happening to the video game industry. So we're going to watch that video and discuss that as well. We're also going to talk about Rockstar Games. They just announced earlier today that they're doing a premiere on Netflix Thursday, August 27th. So we'll have a little conversation about that as well and why Netflix would do something like this, or at least in our opinion, why they would do something like this. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like to go above and beyond that, become a member. What's going on, chat? Let me see who's all here. What's going on? Where is it? Good morning. Just enough. Eclipse, Aku, Scott Wilson. Let's see who else. Mo, what's going on? Good morning. Jason, good morning. Who am I missing? Anybody else? Jesse Mack, good morning. Sarge, good morning. Let's see who else. My new channel, Pranks19, good morning. Feels good. Good morning. Altern, good morning. I think that's GDC, good morning. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone had a good week. I know our schedule was, we were out of town. We did a stream on Monday. Couldn't do it on Tuesday. Traveled on Wednesday. We're back here on Thursday. We did a stream last night for the Halo Campaign Evolve Part 2. We'll do that Part 3 next week. We're almost done with the campaign. We just play Wednesday nights with Sarge and a bunch of friends. Last night we had Cuban 77, and we also had Brainchild join us. So we'll be playing that again next week. We'll be playing it until we finish it, until we finish the campaign. We will have Generation X Gaming tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, episode 499. We'll go over a lot of the stories that we missed throughout the week, and since we didn't have a lot of shows this week, we'll have lots to talk about for the first time on GXG this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on 30NSG. You can also watch us over on Twitter. If you guys didn't notice, I'm wearing my brand new shirt that we got. It's the logo. It's the stuff I just got in the mail while I was gone. Very comfortable shirt. Obviously I don't make the shirts. It's a company that we go through, which is Spread Shop. They make good quality. I didn't know if they made good quality. We got it. Feels good. I'll show you the other shirts that I ordered. And the mugs and stuff tonight on GXG. So, yeah, we'll do that as well. Links are in the description down below if you'd like to support the channel with the shirt, a mug, a hat, or whatever. So we'll get to that. Let's go on, chat. How's everyone doing? Good morning, X Factor. Sarge says the game will melt before we finish it. Yeah, it's pretty bad. We'll talk about that. Let's get off that to the start of the show here, shall we? Halo Studios hit by layoffs after campaign Involve launch. Now, look, we could sit here and say that you're having a grand old time with Halo, right? If you're a PlayStation 5 person, you've never played Halo before because you've always been on Sony, and this happened to come over to you guys for the very first time, and this is the first time you're playing it, you might be blown away. You might be blown away. And what people are defending, because they've never played it before, they don't understand what the people that actually played Halo, that played the good version of Halo, not the pretty graphics Halo, the actual good story of Halo. And the people that are arguing with the people that actually want them to have a good experience is mind-boggling to me, because the people that are on Xbox are like, look, you gave them Halo, but you gave them a shittier Halo, right? There's so many stutters that happen in the Unreal Engine 5, in the engine itself, like the cutscenes, the game as you're going through, it's just a bunch of stutters, a bunch of stuff that's happening. And the people that are making Halo don't like Halo. You know what I mean? They just refused to just make a Halo game. And they don't have anything new in the lineup. They have to remake, remaster, and as, you mean campaign devolved. Yeah, that's what we've been calling it. Like, it's sad. It's sad because you're putting it on a brand new platform for the very first time, and it didn't sell well. Right? I think we have the actual numbers. Let me go back to this. Let me go to Discord. I think we have some numbers that were reported. Let me see here. This is I think this is it. Yeah. So we'll talk about this this stats here. Is this the full stats? 900,000 copies, including sales. Okay. So we'll start here before we go with the layoffs here. Okay. This is a stat here. It says Halo flops on PlayStation 5. Okay. It says Halo's debut on PlayStation wasn't the bombshell it was expected to be. According to estimates from the analytics, the game sold only 351,000 copies on PlayStation 5 during July, reaching 452,000 in total for the consoles. Okay, now obviously you can see 351 on PlayStation 5, and then a total of 452. On Xbox, the game sold 900,000 copies, including sales that upsell to the early access of the Game Pass, while on Steam, the game has sold 212,000 copies. So a combined total, Halo is just not doing very well, okay? Which then leads to this. Halo Studios hit by layoffs after campaign Evolved launched. If you guys like what I do, we just cover news stories, give you our thoughts and opinions. We get your thoughts and opinions from chat. So Halo Studios recently released Halo Campaign Evolved in its first game in a long-running Xbox franchise to be released on Sony PlayStation platform. Unfortunately, the following game is released and the studio appears to be conducting layoffs. Okay. It says Halo Studios staff shares layoff announcement on LinkedIn. So several LinkedIn posts reflect this, with multiple people stating that their time at the studio has ended. Now, before I even continue with this, right, I come from a film background. Okay, I've worked in the film industry for almost 20 years. Well, 20 years, but behind the camera, I was there for 17. Okay, and the way the industry works, and the reason I compare the film industry with the video game industry all the time, is that we are freelance workers. Okay, majority of the people that work in any kind of entertainment, if you're working in show pro, if you're working in film, if you're working in audio, if you're working in video games, all four of these professions are we're all looking for that full-time gig. I would love to work for an actual studio, right? Like I would love to work for Fox or Universal, and every time they have a movie on the back lot, you get a job, right? That's what we're all looking for. But majority of the people are freelance workers because there's so many things going on and they don't want to pay your benefits. They don't want to pay all your stuff that you are a W-2 worker. Okay. So a lot of these game developers that are working on projects are not there full time, or they're there and they're hired full time until the game is done. Right. So like if I'm working on a film and the film takes 6 months, I have a full-time job for 6 months. And then at the end of that, I'm fired. Right? Let go. Basically, they don't need me anymore because we're not shooting anymore. We don't have principal photography going on anymore. So obviously, they're now in the edit. Well, why would you keep a camera guy on staff if there's nothing going on, right? So it says Nick Tretman here says a producer at the studio was noted that he was recently affected by the rounds of layoffs. After 6.5 years of working on Halo and dodging just as many rounds of layoffs has finally caught up to him. Or caught up to me, he says. I have nothing but love for Halo and the folks at the studio. This is just a tough reality in the gaming industry right now. But this is how it was in the past. Way back when the studios were only 30 guys, 50 guys, and they were all doing stuff, and they were all wearing different hats, they had jobs, okay? Because when they made a game, they sold that game, and because that game sold or didn't sell, they would go on to their next game and start making it. But these companies have hundreds of millions of dollars working towards one game, and when it comes out, it flops. It flops because it's hundreds of millions of dollars, and they don't make their money back, so they have to start letting people go and start trying to do something else. It says, I'm open up to new roles as a producer / project manager working remotely or hybrid in Seattle area. During my time, I've had the honor of supporting multiple amazing teams ranging from art, networking, localization, narrative, and being the product owner of Halo Infinite social multiplayer pillar. It says Paul Morris was also listed as the Scrum Master, which is also the time of the studio was also come to end. And however, he noted that he was also the contractor. Today, I learned that my time at Halo Studios will be coming to an end following a successful launch of the latest game. Now, successful launch, meaning they finished the game and they launched it, not an actual success launching. There's a difference. You understand what I'm saying? Like successful launch, meaning the game was finished. Like if we had a successful film, because a lot can go on in the film industry, that it actually gets in the can and gets put into the theater. It was successful that we finished the project. It actually got made and got put into a theater so people could see it. or on DVD or video or whatever. It's a complete project. So that's what I think he's talking about, successful launch for our latest game, Halo Campaign Evolved. He says, I know this is one of the most challenging job markets of our industry has seen, and I know the road ahead won't be easy, but I am not done, and my purpose has not changed. Caleb Lawrence says a software engineer at the studio recently listed himself as available for work as well. Insider Gaming will continue to monitor and the story report as the updates, more information becomes available. I always think it's funny, right? I always think it's funny that everyone constantly talks about layoffs, but they never talk about hires, right? You always see like one person on Twitter say, hey, I just got a new job. And a bunch of people come in and be like, hey, congratulations for your next job. But when there's layoffs, imagine if every single business did this, chat. Every single business. I don't care if you're a janitor, if you're working at the McDonald's, if you're working at Dunkin' Donuts, if you're working at a golf pro shop, whatever you do for a living. Imagine every time that you got let go, that everyone made a big deal and everyone wrote reports about it, right? Be like, oh, 30 and Still Gaming just got released from YouTube. He got let go. It's like, who cares, right? Honestly, like, who cares? A lot of people look like, well, you're being heartless. No, I'm not being heartless. It's just like, this is what the job is. This is what the job is. Like, if you're digging a ditch on the side of the road because you're a construction worker, when you're done digging that ditch, if there's no ditches to dig, guess what? You're let go because they don't have another job for you to do. And they'll be like, we'll contact you. You're not fired, right? You're not fired. You're let go. We don't need you. There's no purpose for you at this time. When we have something, we'll call you back. And if you already booked yourself on another gig, which we do all the time in the film industry, which we do all the time in the music industry, which we do all the time in, you know what I mean? Like, if you're already booked on another gig, well, then you've moved on to something else and working on something else to add something to your resume, right? Now, the game itself is not very good, right? It's not very good, right? When doing a ditch, you get laid off in the U.S., it all depends if you're a contract worker. If you're a W-2 guy and you're not working for the actual company and they just need 5 guys to dig a ditch that day, well, that's what they do. They're like, hey, we're shorthanded. They just call you up. They pull up to a place, grab some people, and they, use you to dig a ditch, and then they move on for the day. They're like, hey, well, thanks for working hard. It's almost like a tryout type of stuff, right? All businesses do this all across the board. Okay. Now, obviously, these people went to college. I went to college. I have a degree, right? Again, in the film industry, you work on a job on a commercial. You work on a movie. You could work a weekend. You could work 6 months. You could work on a TV series that's a year and a half long, right? There's all these things that you could do. It's not very good. Hard to disagree. The Halo game, more, you can disagree with me. If it was fantastic, people would be buying it. People are not buying it. Hence why the game's not selling well. Hence why people are getting laid off. Again, you can 100% disagree with me. Two things could be the same, true at the exact same time. You don't think it's bad, but yet it's not selling well, which then triggers, well, if it's not selling well, then people don't like it. And if it's not good, well, then people are not buying it. And if it's not buying it, then it's a failure. From a business standpoint, you can like all games you want. We always do. We always, right? Well, just because you haven't had any performance issues, go watch my stream last night. So if you never had a problem, and I did have a problem, we cancel each other out. Okay? Because I've had problems. You haven't had problems. Yeah, but the people that are playing it for the first time, ever, that have never, ever played Halo before, of course they're going to like it because they don't know the difference between what it was and what it is. That's a fundamental problem. All right, let me go to chat and see what you guys are saying here. Let me scroll back up here. Mo says, get good, or good, get rid of the crybabies. Get people that actually want to work and not take latte breaks every 30 minutes. Crowd says these layoffs of 343 needed to happen years ago. Well, it's not 343 anymore. It is Halo Studios. Yeah, 343 doesn't exist anymore. They converted them into Halo Studios to make it seem like they're better at what they do. Good game, polished, sales another story. Good game in your opinion. Polished, not polished. Lots of problems. Lots of returns, people getting their money back because of optimization problems. And then there was a patch which actually made it worse. So that's not a debate for polish. That's your own opinion that you're having okay time, but a lot of people are not. Just Enough says, Mo, what are you smoking today? PlayStation most played games are live service multiplayers. Waterbear says it was called Halo Campaign Devolved. It would have been received better, in my opinion. Yeah. Tyler says, let's discuss the elephant in the room. No one are buying these games. That's part of the people are getting laid off. That's right. And it doesn't matter because one of my favorite games, okay? Marvel's Avengers. Love Marvel's Avengers, okay? But I will not sit here and argue, well, Marvel's Avengers was a great game. No, Marvel's Avengers was a fantastic game for me. I loved it. Had 1,000 hours in it, okay? But I fundamentally know that game was dog water, okay? It didn't sell well. It didn't do well. It had massive problems. The game broke, right? Where I couldn't play it for 14 days until they fixed a major glitch where you couldn't fight the last boss of the entire game, right? So literally broke the game. Couldn't finish it. But I like it. I like the game. But I will never sit here and go, oh, well, Marvel's Avengers was a fantastic game. I loved it. I didn't have any problems. Jesus says this Campaign Evolved is an excellent remake, but it just felt unnecessary. Again, that's your personal opinion. Excellent remake, not an excellent remake. They've changed so many different things from the original. Let's see. Mo says, in construction, you work yourself out of a job every day. Right. Once you're done with that job, the job's done. You're literally working to complete your job, and they're like, all right, thanks for coming in. We'll call you when we need you again. Tara says, if I was very good, and we see the numbers reflect that, then we're on the numbers, you call it's very good. Exactly. Right. Saying that the game is good and yet not selling, those two things don't mix. Halo is a brand that launched Xbox, and here we are 25 years later, and it's a shell of what the name was before. They completely destroyed the brand of Halo. The clip says, what I think is ridiculous is about the list is the Black Ops 2 sold 8 million copies. Why does Call of Duty want to get better? Well, let me bring that back up. Yeah, let me go back to that this chart here, right? Let's go back to this chart here. All right, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, 8.2 million copies sold. Call of Duty Black Ops, 3 million sold. Black Flag Resync, 1.6, right? Look at Halo. It's terrible. It's terrible. Grand Theft Auto sold more. Okay, Grand Theft Auto sold more, and it's 15 years old. Minecraft sold more. And we're talking, what, 12, 13 years old. Reviews are 10 points lower than the original game. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Bill said, I watched, it's Alex play Halo on stream, and I got to agree. The new Halo is dumbed down, even though I played it once when it came out on PC. Yeah, like we're playing it right now. You can go to our other channel, 30 and Still Gaming. We played it last 2 Wednesdays, right? I'm having fun with Sarge. I'm having fun with my friends when we play the game. But fundamentally, that game is a worse game than it was when it originally came out. Even the Master Chief Collection is better than the brand new one. Now, if you're just looking at graphics, fantastic. You'd be like, wow, these graphics are amazing. And that's about it. Bill says animations and several cutscenes felt like AI slop. Well, even if they're not AI slop, they completely fundamentally changed some of the cutscenes. Crowd says, I think Halo Remake is more of an insult to the fans than it is a bad game. Cortana's face is Exhibit A. B-Baby says the cutscenes are awkward. Yeah, there's something all about the game, right? And it's funny because all the people that talk about the awkwardness and something's off about it are people that played the original, people that played the Master Chief Collection, and now they're playing this, and they're like, it's not the same. People on PlayStation are like, it's great, it's fantastic. Or people that have never played Halo before play this for the very first time, and they defend it. But we're trying to tell you, like, this is a worse off version than what we had originally. Unnecessary, right? We didn't need this game. No one asked for this remake game. But they're looking at it going, well, we spent a lot of money on Halo Infinite. And that didn't do very good. It took them 3 years to fix what the problems were in that game. And that was supposed to be a 10-year game, right? That game was supposed to be 10 years down the road. It was supposed to keep bringing money in. It took them 3.5 years to fix what was going on in that game. And they're like, oh, well, let's just make Halo again. Let's remake it again. Turner says, yes, it's all right to say the game was great to you, right? But when they can't recognize that most people don't share that sentiment, that's where the delusion kicks in. Exactly. What do you think of Cortana's new look? I don't like it, but let's be honest. I'm going to be straight shooter, Titan. Go back and look at the original with the graphics and stuff like that, right? She wasn't like a looker, right? I don't care. I don't give a shit the way they look. And then when they did the Master Chief Collection, they changed her again. And as they did other games, they constantly changed her. You can go look at a picture of what she's evolved to over the years, okay? Now, I think what people now like really want to talk about is because the graphics are so good. And then they look at some of the character models and you're like, what is that? Right? Do you know what I'm saying? Like Starfield got shit because of the character models. You look at the character models and you're like, what is that? Right? Remember, the industry is the one that pushed the polish of what the game looks like, graphic-wise. Look at the graphics. Look at the graphics. Right? And then when we look at the graphics and you look at certain things, you're like, the hell is that? If the graphics are so good, why are you making the characters so ugly? Right? We didn't have that problem back in the day because it was just all pixelated. It was blocky. That's what it was. Bill says, but I got to say that when I played the original Halo on PC, it just felt like a generic arena shooter with story. Not that groundbreaking at all. When did you play it on PC? Because it originally came out in 2003. When did you play it on PC for the first time? Did you play other games that were first-person shooters before you played Halo? You got to remember, when Halo came out, it was a complete game changer when it launched. If you played Halo years down the road after you played all other first-person games, yeah, it's going to be kind of lackluster to you. But those games wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Halo. Mo says Halo Infinite is light years better than this one. And Halo Infinite's light years worse than the other ones. You got to remember, 343 didn't want to work on Halo. They were given Halo. Right? They were given Halo. No, but even when it came out, Eclipse, back in 2003 for PC, it was still so much better than everything else we've ever played. All right. Let's go from this to, do we want to talk about what's happening to video games, or do we want to watch Laura Fryer's video? Laura Fryer's video is 8 minutes and 28 seconds. Actually, you know what we'll talk about first? We'll talk about Rockstar. Okay? Because they made an announcement today. Okay? Grand Theft Auto 6, an extended look, premieres on Netflix Thursday, August 27th at 3 p.m. Okay? Netflix. Now, we joked about this back in the day about if Netflix paid a lot of money to actually get a timed exclusive, and we said it wouldn't happen, but a timed exclusive for put the game on Netflix because Netflix is trying to make, games or whatever. And that was years ago when we said that. And now you have Netflix. They had to pay a pretty big piece of cash to Rockstar to get the premium look, okay? Which is funny because it airs at 3 p.m. Eastern, okay? 3 p.m. Eastern, Netflix, Thursday, August 27th. But on their own post afterwards, Grand Theft Auto said, or Rockstar Games said, Grand Theft Auto 6, an extended look, will also launch on the official Rockstar YouTube channel and Grand Theft Auto 6 site at 9 p.m. on the same day. So there's still a 6-hour gap between them. Rockstar could have just launched it on YouTube. No one would have batted an eye. Netflix was like, let us pay you money. And Rockstar's like, okay, but we're only going to give you 6 hours lead advance. They're like, it's all we need, right? But why? Why would Netflix pay this money, chat? Why do you guys think that Netflix would pay this money? Right? Because it is kind of weird that they've decided that they're going to put the trailer, the exclusive trailer first on Netflix. This is a paid, like, you can't just watch Netflix. You have to subscribe to Netflix. Right? Think about the logic here. Everyone that has Netflix, which is like 210 million people that have Netflix, are these the same 210 million people that also have consoles? Maybe, I don't know. So obviously, from a business perspective, right? From a business perspective, this is smart on Netflix's side, in my opinion, right? Because GTA 6 is the biggest piece of entertainment, like, launch ever, right? You know what I mean? So it immediately gets the attention. People come over to Netflix. People start talking about Netflix. Maybe Netflix is looking for this, like, younger demographic. I don't know. But it's very odd that they only paid, and they paid, we don't know what that price is, but they paid a pretty penny. You have to, right? Because, again, Rockstar could have easily just said, we're dropping it on YouTube, or put it on a tweet, and that's all they had to do. They don't need any advertisement. They don't need to pay somebody else to advertise their game. Like, what are we talking about? Right? Grand Theft Auto could do a tweet and say, gameplay now, and everyone would lose their shit. Yet Netflix decided that they were going to get the first glimpse at it 6 hours before they release it on YouTube. I don't know, man. It's just kind of weird. Kind of weird. Does it lead up to something? Because remember, Netflix did that deal. Was it 2 years ago, where they put Grand Theft Auto games on Netflix, and you could play it on your phone? Ray says Netflix will get the traffic. Well, of course. They're waiting for people to just pay the monthly membership. Here's another thing. Maybe year over year, I don't know Netflix's stocks and maybe this is a slow period for Netflix, right? So they're like, well, people are going back to school. A lot of people are not going to. So let's kick it up maybe for the month of August, or maybe September, actually. They want people to opt in to pay for Netflix just so they can watch the trailer. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, people pre-order every single day. Eclipse says because they're going to be able to stream it. You think they're going to be able to stream? You think they're going to be able to stream the game on Netflix down the road, Eclipse? Altern says 6 hours, just 6 hours. Why? Who thought this was a good idea? Netflix. And just trying to think from a business standpoint. Maybe it's a slow point, and they're like, oh, well, how many people will just buy Netflix for that month just so they could watch the trailer for extended look? Was it going to be 15 minutes long? Altern says this trailer will get uploaded to YouTube in no time by pirates. Sure, but they get knocked down, and then 6 hours later, they're on Netflix. On YouTube anyway. Netflix has 350 million subs. People really think they're doing this because they need subs. Why would they do it then, my channel? Why would Netflix do this? What benefits do they have? Why would they pay Rockstar money if they weren't looking to get more subscribers or different clientele? It's releasing on YouTube the same day? Yeah, thank you for notifying us after I said that already. Appreciate that. Saint says, is there a movie or series deal? I don't remember hearing a deal. I remember they wanted to make a Grand Theft Auto film. Let me see. There is no official Grand Theft Auto feature film in development. Yeah, I don't remember anything being talked about but that. Well, you know, that's actually really funny that you said that they won't be able to stream it live. That is funny because the first time you get to look at it is on Netflix, meaning you can't restream it. It's interesting. Shadow says for 6 hour early access seems dumb. Jason says it comes to YouTube at 9 p.m. on the same day. Just wait a few hours. people can't wait to pre-order a game, Jason. You think they're going to wait 6 hours? You think they're going to wait 6 hours? Yeah, but when you say they're marketing differently, Netflix paid them. Zelnick didn't pay Netflix to get on Netflix. They don't need to. Rockstar doesn't need to pay anybody to put their thing on anything. Sarge says that's the dumbest shit. You think someone will pay for Netflix to watch the trailer and you'll see it for free? What the fuck are they talking about? This is what we're talking about. Why would they do it? Why would Netflix pay money? Unless it was like a bet. Maybe Zelnick was in a poker deal. Like they were at a match with the Netflix head. And they're like, if I win this hand, you've got to air the GTA 6 trailer on Netflix same day, but 6 hours early. And Zelnick's like, yeah, sure. Like, this makes no sense, right? This is a win-win, obviously, for Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto. This is a big gamble by Netflix, especially since Netflix is not making a movie. It would make sense if there was like a movie, a Netflix deal where Grand Theft Auto was going to be on it. It would be a different deal if Netflix was actually coming, or I'm sorry, Rockstar or Grand Theft Auto was coming to Netflix to play, but it's not. Turner says, I don't give a damn about Netflix and Rockstar's relationship. It's such a stupid anti-consumer move. Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Jesse Mack says, 30 Take Two quarter 3 earnings call is on this Friday. We shall see. All right, well, there you go. So tomorrow, I guess we'll talk about that on Monday. It's just weird as far as why would you put your trailer on a paid subscription platform to see it for the first time? There's got to be some sort of reason they did that. I don't know. Just a kind of a weird scenario here. Altern says the big company like Netflix is willing to pay for 6 hours advantage on a trailer. Imagine how many consumers bought the $100 edition. No questions asked. It's very true. Very true. Ray says, look, imagine if below the trailer, Netflix promotes the Netflix games and gives a link for GTA Classic games to include the sub. Now, there you go, Ray. I like that, right? Because there is Grand Theft Auto on Netflix. All right? So that is interesting, right? If they pay the money to get the eyeballs for 6 hours to promote the Netflix gaming, their section of the Netflix games. But they got to be careful. They got to be careful because you can't make it seem like Grand Theft Auto 6 is on that service. Do you know what I mean? Ron says, wait, isn't that PlayStation's blackout day? I think it's the 30th, isn't it? Or is it the last day? It's a whole week. 23rd to the... I think it's August 23rd to the 30th, right? Is that what it is? Waterbear says, because maybe GTA 6 cost $2 billion to make, apparently. So instead of bringing out the PC version, Netflix is doing a day-and-date streaming version on GTA 6 in 4K. I mean, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy, Water. And more importantly, if that came out down the road, that they're all of a sudden they're like, hey, obviously there's no proof of this in any way, shape, or form, right? But could you imagine if Netflix came out and said that they're showing the trailer, and at the end of their trailer, they say streaming on Netflix? Like a clip said earlier? Could you imagine? Right? Because it's coming to consoles. Obviously, they say PlayStation 5 and Xbox. Could you imagine if Netflix has got some sort of deal where it's not exclusive, but it's coming to streaming? Can you imagine the price tag they would have to pay to get Rockstar to do that? And we talked about this like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, just jokingly. Right? Now, obviously, we're just speculating here, but it is kind of weird that they're showing it on Netflix. Scott says, 30, Netflix paying for this placement doesn't make any sense. Platforms didn't pay advertisers. Yeah, that's what I don't understand. This is why we're talking about it, Scott. It's like, why would Netflix pay Rockstar and Take-Two to show their trailer on Netflix? Jesse Mack says, Rockstar asked Netflix, New extended look at GTA 6, not Sony doing it. Oh, big oof. We literally talked about this stuff months and months and months ago. Their subs would definitely see a spike. They would have to play a pretty fucking penny. But, well, actually, hear me out here for a second. It's still too early. People can cancel their subscriptions or their pre-orders, right? But if Netflix came out and said that they're streaming, obviously it's not going to be a very good streaming service because it's going to tank. It's not going to be very stable because there's so many people are going to go on it. But hear me out. All the people that want the $100 version of the game have already purchased the $100 version of the game. So now, again, we're hypothetically speaking here. We're doing a what-if moment here. I'm not saying this is happening in any way, shape, or form. We're just having a conversation about that, okay? If Netflix pays a big enough chunk of money and they do stream it on Netflix, everyone that didn't want to buy it that has a Netflix will try it. Do you know what I mean? And then that would be huge for Netflix gaming. Sarge says the internet would crash if that happened. Just Enough says GTA's special rules don't apply. Turner says pay Netflix to watch a trailer early for a game you're already paying $100 for. 30. Maybe modern gaming just ain't for me. Maybe. Kylo says maybe it's a secret clause in their agreement to have Rockstar games on Netflix. Maybe. They just don't want to put it in the advertisement because they still want to sell. But it is crazy. Think about this for a second now. Let's shift it over just a little bit, right, Kylo? PlayStation paid big bucks to be the exclusive advertiser for Rockstar and GTA. So much so that people think that's an exclusive for PlayStation, right? Yet Netflix gets the first new trailer 6 hours before their own channel on Rockstar and before PlayStation. It's a little weird. Warburg says, I'm waiting to see if people what the specs will be before I put the trigger. Even though I want to buy it, I'm waiting. Don't want to buy it twice, once on PC and on console. Crowd says, hey, Mike, since Sony now has the data that $1,000 plus consoles aren't going to sell, how likely is it that they would see a subscription-based option launch side by side with the launch of PlayStation 6? Very, very plausible. Very plausible, Crowded. We've talked about this in the past years. People had arguments with me. I said that cloud gaming is going to be the future of games, and people said, nope, not going to happen. It's going to take a decade. And I said 6 to 7 years. That was 2.5 years ago. I think the bell curve is happening much faster than people would like to admit. If GTA 6 is getting a cloud release via Netflix, that will change the entire industry on the spot. We won't be talking about no disc. We'll be talking about no consoles. 100%. Welcome to the conversation, Moore. We've had this conversation on this channel for a long time. What's going on, Roadkill? Again, if you're just jumping into the channel and you're hearing me say that Netflix is doing this and that, we are just having a conversation. We're just speculating. We're just talking it through, right? We're doing what if moments here. We're not saying that Netflix is doing this and Netflix is doing that. We're just talking, what does this mean? Because we've actually had a conversation. I would have to go back and how far back we talked about it. But we literally talked about Netflix, and this is before, I want to say it was like 2022, 2023. We were talking about if Netflix bought the exclusive rights to Grand Theft Auto when it came out, and they just put it on Netflix. And for like a timed exclusive, we talked about it for it was like 5 to 6 months timed exclusive, if I remember correctly. Okay, if Netflix did that, it would change the entire landscape of what it is. And with a game like Grand Theft Auto 6, it would change the landscape. Ray says, PlayStation Cloud gaming is quite good. I'd rather play GTA on PlayStation Cloud over the Series S Xbox Cloud. Roadkill says, Netflix probably has a live action or animated series deal, is what I'm thinking. We looked it up. There is no talks about now, not to say that's not happening, Roadkill, but there's no announcement. There's been no announcement of an actual Rockstar Grand Theft Auto film. I've been watching a lot of comic stories and the people also about Hulk killing everybody in the comics. Crowd says console gaming is so fucked. Good Lord. Water Bear says the only thing that can hurt the sales is if it gets pushed back again. It's not getting pushed back. Cloud single player games is excellent. Agreed. I've been playing cloud gaming for many years. Many years. I was doing it when it was like alpha and then beta. And then when it launched, I was just on a trip. I played cloud gaming through. The whole time I was gone, I played cloud gaming. All right, let's go to Laura Fryer's video next. Okay, this is only 8 minutes long. We like watching Laura Fryer here because it's Thursday, and she just had a video that this video launched on 22 hours ago, so not even 24 hours yet. We usually don't watch videos within the first 24 hours that they come onto YouTube. But I was out of town, obviously, and this is Thursday. After this, I don't stream on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and then Monday comes. At that point, it's like nil and void. My brain just collapsed there. So we're going to watch this today. Make sure, because we're going to stop and pause and give you my thoughts and opinions as we watch Laura Fryer. We love watching Laura Fryer's videos. She's an person that worked in the industry. So it's nice to see her talk about stuff from her perspective. And then I can give you kind of my perspective from the different type of industry, but same type of stuff happening. So links in the description down below. All the stories that we cover, all the videos that we watch are in the links in the description down below. Make sure you go over to her. She's got 81,000 subscribers. She's closing in on 100,000 subscribers. She makes good content. So give it a like, give it a sub, and let's give a little watch here to Laura Fryer.
Of a layoff. Today we're going to look at the management side of a layoff, the actual mechanics of how these decisions are made.
We talk about this type of stuff all the time on this channel, and now it's nice to know that someone that was in the inside of the actual companies that we talk about, because I can give you a reference of other companies that I've worked for that do the exact same type of stuff, but now she's going to tell you what happens in the exact companies that she actually worked for
behind closed doors. Because I think if you can understand how it actually works, it can help make sense of what's going on as you're watching it happen in real time. It starts at the top. If it's an indie studio, you can see the founders sitting around a table and they're looking at numbers, and the numbers aren't adding up. They look at burn rate per employee. They look at what they've got in the bank, what cash.
Now, when we talk about burn rate, okay, when we talk about burn rate and the people, we talk about this all the time, right? Like if you're at a job and you're working and your best friend works next to you, right? But he doesn't come in on Saturdays. You do come in on Saturdays, just like Office Space. I'm going to need you to come in on Saturdays, right? Lumberg comes up, he's got his mug of coffee, right? And your best friend takes that position on Saturday. Well, his stock has now risen, right? But there's a lot that goes into that stock. Because if you're both getting paid the exact same amount of money, and the guy next to you takes that Saturday shift, and then takes another Saturday shift, and then takes another Saturday shift, his stock is rising within the company, right? They see both people working. This person makes the exact same amount of money as this person, but this person's putting in a lot more effort than this person, right? So then that works out. So then when layoffs come down the road, they look at who's more efficient than the other one, right? But if this person came in on Saturdays and the same person came in on Saturdays, but they also made more money, they start to weigh that out and go, well, he's making this much more money. He's costing us more. Yes, he's better off what he does, but what does this person do that doesn't come in on Saturdays? And then we can make them come in later or whatever down the road, and they make a lot less. Then the big guy might get fired because they also don't have to pay his, his benefits. They don't have to pay his, retirement fund, 401k, or anything like that.
Cash is coming in. They don't want to lay anybody off, but the math doesn't lie. And if they...
Today, we part ways with a small group of valued 1047 Games members. We still perfect a Splitgate 2 gameplay experience as response to community feedback, and we're also redirecting resources. We went over these stories last year when it happened.
You don't do anything, everyone loses their job. So they make the hard call. They make the hard call to do the layoff and save as much of their team as possible. If it's a big corporation, it's a different beast. Xbox can technically keep lighting money on fire, but they don't want to. Right? And the leaders answer to the shareholders. So these decisions usually come down from the very top. In the recent Xbox
And the top is never going to let the people at the top go because they don't want to give up stuff. They're like, well, I just got an $80,000. What was that? What was the bonus that Android Wilson just got from EA? What was that at? Do you know what I mean?
Hey 30, I'm not the crazy one, am I? If GTA 6 launches on Netflix available for PC day one, which is highly unlikely, would that not also cripple PC sales if you aren't launching on Steam as well?
Yeah, but it all depends. Thank you very much for the $10. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. We'll get you one of these.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. So we don't know what the deal is, right? We don't know if it's coming. Yes, you could play Netflix on your PC. Again, if you have a PC, though, Tarnish, you want the best possible, right? You want the graphics to be the best. You want the frame rate to be the best. You want that to be the best. So, yes, it's on Netflix. But remember, Netflix, when they stream their videos and they say it's 4K, it's not true 4K. Right? You're having a shittier experience with the movie that you could just pop in your Blu-ray player and actually watch that film. So you are correct. If it comes to PC on day one, which highly unlikely, it would cripple. It would cripple everything. It would, as someone said earlier, and I don't know who had said it, it would completely change the landscape of the way we play our games. And it only takes one game. It only takes that one game to break the monotony of what's happening right now, right? Like, think about it. We had physical games, and then we have digital games. But because the biggest game franchise in the planet decided that it's going full digital, an entire industry is now moving towards digital because of the one game. Because of that one game, right? The outlier of the industry, which is Grand Theft Auto. So, again, I'm not saying it's going to happen with Netflix, but plausibly it could, right? Because the landscape is changing so fast. And if whoever wants to pay the money, whoever wants to pay the big bucks, if Netflix wants to pay, again, we'll find out down the road how much they paid for this premium spot, right? Or if they get it down the road where it's actually streaming. Let's just say this. Let's say it doesn't come out day and date on Netflix. Let's say it just launches on console right away. 40 million, 50 million people buy the game over a year or whatever it is, okay? Just talking generic here. And then Netflix says, when it comes to PC down the road, that you can get it on PC. There'll be people that want to buy it on PC, and then there'll be people like, well, I'm not going to buy it because I don't own a PC, but now I can play Grand Theft Auto on my television set. I can play it on my mobile phone. I can play it on everywhere because Netflix is streamed everywhere, right? We talked about this in the past as Netflix and Game Pass, right? Game Pass is like Netflix. That's what they want it to be. Well, Netflix is on everything, man. Netflix is on everything. So if Netflix paid that price and they are going to put the game where they can stream it from their servers or whatever, that would completely and utterly change the way people play video games just because of one game. Thank you very much for the $10. Appreciate that.
Layoff, Asha Sharma was likely given a target number. But here's the catch. She can't do it alone. She's relatively new, the org is massive, and she's not a game maker. She can read performance reviews, but those were written by the same leaders who helped create the
That created the problem. Yeah.
So she can't assume that they're right.
I'm gonna rewind that for a second. Let me rewind that for a second.
But those were written. Can't do it alone. She's relatively new.
Let me go back a little bit farther.
In the recent Xbox layoff, Asha Sharma was likely given a target number. But here's the catch.
Because she was given the targeted number, likely given a targeted number, she doesn't know what's going on, Dark Taco. She doesn't know who to fire. She's got to go to the people, which is the upper management, which made the problem to begin with. Now she's trusting the managers in charge of the people that she thinks that they're letting go of the right people. She doesn't know if these people are good or bad. She is trusting the management above if these are the right calls. So as a manager, as Asha is the CEO, she's not going to go individually and go, well, you suck, and look at your paperwork. She's going to defer to the managers in front of these people and say, well, Todd can go, and then Kevin can go, and Susie could go, because this is what they did. This is that analogy I talked about earlier. Who comes in on Saturdays, who's working harder, who's for the price, right? That's what the managers are trying to figure out who to let go.
She can't do it alone. She's relatively new. The org is massive, and she's not a game maker. She can read performance reviews, but those were written by the same leaders who helped create the problem. So she can't assume that they're right. Plus, there are these 14 layers of management.
The 14 layers of management is still mind-boggling to me. We're not talking about 14 people. I want to be perfectly clear here. We're not talking about 14 individuals in between the next step. We're talking about 14 levels. How many people are working in each of those levels at Microsoft or Xbox that the thing that has to get done has to get passed through? How many people in each of those levels
that they have to sort through? It really gets messy fast. And on top of that, she has to worry about leaks.
Go on, Mrs.
Because
Z.
big companies are full of them. That's why I think you keep...
What she just said there as well. Let me rewind that a little bit.
It really gets messy fast. And on top of that, she has to worry about leaks.
Just to be clear, I could care less about GTA, haven't played it in 2 decades. But I feel like launching only on Netflix would be akin to launching only on EGS, and we know how that usually plays out.
Well, I see what you're saying. Thank you very much for the $10. Again, I appreciate you. I don't think it's exclusive on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be exclusive. It's still launching on consoles. It's also launching on Netflix, and they got the advertise. Again, we're speculating a lot here, right? We're speculating a lot here. If Netflix did make a deal where they get the game and it happens to be streaming on Netflix Gaming down the road or whatever it is, okay, maybe nothing comes from this, okay? Most likely nothing comes from this, but if it does, I don't think they're getting exclusive. I think they're just paying the money, okay, to throw their hat in the ring. We've talked about this in the past as well, right? Another company, if they want to make a big move, we talked about Google, we talked about Apple, we talked about Netflix, right? We talked about Amazon. We talked about, like, if Amazon wanted to pay the bucks for Rockstar to put Grand Theft Auto on Amazon Luna. We talked about Netflix. We talked about if Google wanted to put it wherever, if Apple wanted to come in and all of a sudden be a player in the game, even though they're the largest in the mobile space with the Apple Game Store or the Apple Arcade, it would completely change the dynamics, which is plausible because the way the industry is changing so fast that we don't need consoles anymore. We're at that point where you can stream games. We never thought about this 20 years ago. And we're like, you're going to stream a movie over the internet? Good luck, right? It happened with audio, happened with video games when people were downloading video games and stuff like that. Now you can completely stream games online, stream movies online, stream music online. So the industry is changing dramatically, super fast, exponentially faster. So a lot of us don't think this is plausible. A lot of us are like, that's not going to happen. These are the same type of people that thought that horse and buggy were going to be around for years, and there's no way someone's going to make a horseless carriage. And then all of a sudden now everyone's driving cars, which now everyone's driving more cars that drive themselves. You see what I'm saying? Appreciate that.
Because big companies are full of them. That's why I think you keep seeing these internal memos getting posted. They know it'll leak anyway, so they get in front of it. So trust is huge when she's picking who's going to help her make those calls. And then the meetings kick off. They usually start small and
Well, remember, GD, they did put the Grand Theft Auto, was the Definitive Edition? Is that what was on Netflix when it came out 2 years ago? They decided that they were going to put it on, you could play Grand Theft Auto on Netflix. Not a big deal, but maybe that was a testing ground, right? Maybe they see how many people played. We don't know those numbers, right? But Netflix sees how many people played that game on Netflix, and they're like, let's throw some money at it. Let's see what happens. How many people are interested on it? Maybe, again, just speaking here, just talking out loud like I do. What if...
To also be clear, we know this ain't happening. For those of you that think we are having a serious discussion about it, you need to keep up. Smiley face emoji.
Yes, thank you very much for the $5 super chat for the total of $25. I appreciate you. Yeah, we're just having a conversation, right? This channel, I'm not here saying this is gonna happen. We're having a conversation. This channel is more of like you're in my house, and you know when you shoot the shit with your friends at your house, and you're like, hey, did you guys see that? And you guys start talking about brainstorming stuff and whatnot. That's what this channel is, right? We're just having conversations and whatnot, right? What if Netflix is like, look, they approach Rockstar, and Rockstar's like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. And Rockstar's like, or Netflix is like, look, we put Grand Theft Auto, the definitive edition, okay, on it. And it did pretty well. It brought a lot of people in for Netflix. What if we get, and again, just talking it out loud here, what about if they went to Rockstar and said, hey, what about if we can get Grand Theft Auto 6 down the road? And Rockstar's like, I don't think that's going to happen. And they're like, all right, I'll tell you what. What about if we put a premiere of the trailer on Netflix, and if we get a certain amount of people interested in it, it'll open up the door for the next thing. Do you see what I'm saying? And they're like, okay, sure. We'll take this much money up front. And Netflix is like, okay. And they're taking a risk. Again, I don't know if this is happening, but it's very odd that Netflix is going to be paying money, because they weren't just handed the premiere trailer 6 hours ahead of time without money. I can't imagine that.
Actually get bigger as they add people who actually know the people that they're going to consider letting go. And this whole thing, it takes weeks, sometimes months. Even booking the rooms is a nightmare. Shared calendars means that anyone can snoop on what meetings are going on, right? You can't title it layoff planning. And if you always have the same group of people disappearing into the same conference room.
Right. You start to tell stories about people, right? You're like, uh-oh, they went into conference room F. You know what that means, chat? When they go into conference room F, they're fucked. They're getting fired.
People will start to notice and talk about it. And that's the curse of big companies. Everyone's hunting for clues. And the longer it drags on, the more nervous people get and the higher the chance of leaks. This reminds me of what happened back in the Xbox 360 days when Microsoft shut down Ensemble Studios. They were the makers of Age of Empires, one of my favorite games.
Great game. Great game.
Developer Sandy Peterson, who also worked at id Software in the early days and now runs Peterson Games, recently told this story. So Ensemble management flew up to headquarters because things felt off, and they found out that Don Mattrick planned to shut them down after they shipped their current game, Halo Wars. But here's the wild part. According to Sandy, Mattrick offered the managers a deal. Keep quiet until after the layoffs in exchange for basically selling out the team.
Damn. Come on, Elite. I want to hear that. I want to hear that part again.
Here's the wild part. According to Sandy, Mattrick offered the managers a deal. Keep quiet until after the layoffs in exchange for basically selling out the team.
Here's a shit ton of money to stay quiet until we fire the team.
Sandy said the following. To a man, every manager from Ensemble resigned on the spot rather than sell us out.
Good for them. That's what you need. That's what you need. You need the people that want to make a video game to stand by each other making a video game. Right? They said, nope, we all quit. Good luck to you. Listen to that again.
Selling out the team. Sandy said the following. To a man, every manager from Ensemble resigned on the spot rather than sell us out. They absolutely refused. The final deal was that about a third of the studio formed Robot Entertainment and got a couple months of severance and a publishing contract with Microsoft. The rest of the team who didn't go to Robot, they got 8 months of severance.
But that's because all of the management teams stuck it together. They stuck together. They're like, no, you're going to screw us over. Instead, they got incentive packages, right? Got people 8 months severance package. Had other people move and made a deal where they get their next game published by Microsoft.
And according to Sandy, because the managers fought for them, they actually did better than the managers themselves.
Yeah. Imagine that.
And this story was great because it shows you the leverage and backroom dealing that most staff never see. And the more you can understand about what goes on in these meeting rooms, the more it can help you if you ever face a layoff. So this is what companies normally do. They start by cutting entire projects or spinning them out. In the case of the recent Xbox layoff, they moved Double Fine and Compulsion back to being independent.
which is good on Xbox, right? Good on Microsoft and Xbox, but they still had to let people go. Double Fine still had to fire half their studio, or 23 people. I don't know if it's half their studio, but
Ninja Theory and Undead Labs are looking for new ownership with funding to finish their games. The goal is to make it as fair and legally solid as possible. Think about it. You cut a whole project, everyone on it goes. No easy discrimination claims. Same with eliminating specific roles. It gives a clear business reason. Let's take a look at id Software, which apparently just let some of their programmers go. Well, they still need programmers.
right.
So they had to pick.
And this is that example I said, right? Like, how do you pick? Well, the managers that are management of the team, they would have to know who's doing the job, who's better than who's been there 2 years, who's been there 5 years, right? Is the guy working 2 years running circles around the guy who's been there 5 years, and the guy who's been there 5 years is getting paid way too much money? Do you release the guy that's been there for 2 years, or do you release the guy that's been there for 5 years? Do you give the guy 5 years just because he's been there longer? Is he better? Maybe, right? So there's so many. It's never easy when you're a manager to go in and fire people, right? It's not like people. Maybe some people get a kick out of it or not. But when I had to fire people, it was devastating. But yet you have to understand what you're doing, and the person that you're firing is never going to really understand. They're never going to understand, because we go into this brainwave of survival of the fittest. You protect yourself first, and then when you're safe, then you save other people. So when you get fired, you're like, oh my God, my whole world's over. What am I going to do? Right? You're thinking of your family. You're thinking of your house. You think there's a whole bunch of shit that goes on. And this is why when you work, you try to do the best job you can.
Maybe they had 5 gameplay engineers and they only needed 2.
Right.
So the 2 who stayed were going to be their strongest on paper. And yeah.
Yeah, but why did those 2 get picked? Whoever those 2 are. Why did I get picked? You know what I mean? That's what goes through your mind when you're in these corporation settings like this.
All 5 might have been really great. And that's the brutal part, is that sometimes good people get caught in
Absolutely.
layoffs. So picture weeks of back and forth discussions, managers going to bat for their people. It gets heated and it's painful. And documentation is everything.
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, it becomes a they said, you said type of scenario where you didn't say that, so you have to document everything, which then gets people more irritated because the process is like super slow. Then you don't know if you're getting fired, or you don't know what you said, and all of a sudden you say certain things. It is that scenario from Office Space where Peter comes in and sits down and the 2 Bobs are in front of him, okay? And like, what do you say you do here, Peter? And he's like, well, I come in, right? And you're saying stuff and they're jotting stuff down. That happens all the time because they have to document what you're saying, what you're doing. And if you say the wrong thing, then the whole time you're done with that, you're like, it's your job, but yet you're now trying to keep your job. You're trying to save your job. And now you're getting flustered because now you have to talk to people that make you nervous because you think you're getting fired.
Right? The company wants to show the process was fair and unbiased. And they do try to put together
What is that thing at the bottom? Hold on.
Painful. And documentation is everything, right? The company wants to show the process was fair.
500 acres.
And unbiased.
100 offices.
And they do try to put together a decent severance package for the same reason. They don't want to be sued. They want to take care of the people and be as fair as possible. And those packages...
Give me one second. I got to turn my fan on.
They usually come with strings where you're signing away your right to sue or
Hey, I have people skills. I'm good with people.
to badmouth the company publicly after.
All right, employees internal levels 64 and below will receive 1 week. Just that first line, can you imagine? Employees at internal levels 64 and below will receive 1 week of base pay per 6 months of service. Employees of levels 65 to 67 will receive 2 weeks of base pay per 6 months of service, and their separate package of executives levels 68 and higher. The company also offering continued regular stock vesting for 6 of the 12 months of level 67 and below, based on your service of 6 months paid health insurance coverage plus additional 12 months of optional COBRA coverage. Like, brutal.
After you leave. And if you don't take the package, you don't get the money. The sweeter the deal, the more people that will do it.
Right. And then here it is, right? It's a FOMO. Okay, it's a FOMO because if you take the deal fast, you're getting money. And if you wait too long, you could lose out. So you have to, it's like a game show, basically, for these corporate businesses.
And Microsoft has been pretty generous lately with some of their older employees. In fact, a bunch of the folks I used to work with suddenly retired, and I don't think it's a coincidence. It's a way for the company to reduce the highest salaries while making the departure look mutual on paper.
And then they sign these deals, hence why this is why we like watching Laura Fryer, okay? Because maybe she had deals in place where she signed a contract and couldn't talk about any of this stuff. But that's probably gone now, and hence why she started a YouTube channel. Now, I don't know this for sure. Maybe she'll watch this and maybe respond to it, okay? But now she can say stuff and tell her experience of the industry. A lot of people can't speak. They can't say anything. They sign an ironclad contract for years where they can't say anything.
And think about it. If you've been there a long time, do you take the sure thing or do you roll the dice and hope you're safe?
Right.
And a lot of people say there's a real age bias in big tech and gaming. So the risk is actually higher the longer you've been around. Once they have their full list, then they have to tell people. And that's the hardest part. And a lot of companies these days actually do that over video call. I know it sounds...
Oh, that's so... We really appreciate you. Imagine Office Space now made today, where instead of Peter sitting in the room with the two Bobs, he now just gets a video call and they just fire him on the spot. You know what I mean?
cold, but if you do it in person, it carries risks.
Absolutely.
People can...
Carries risks, but there's also mutual respect, right? Because if you do it over video call, they don't give two shits about you. At least if they do it in front of your face, at least they have some repercussions from their actions of firing you.
Get really upset, sometimes worse. And that's why you might see security around those meetings if they're in person. The companies often pick a Friday, send one set of email to the people going with their meeting time, and another to everyone staying.
Imagine being there for 10 years, 15 years, right? Not as big as the guy who's been there for 25 years, but you've been there for 10, 15 years, and they just let you go. They don't even come to your door and knock on your... But every day they smile like, hey, what's going on? Hey, good job, man. Hey, thanks a lot. And then all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, I need you to fire that person. What, Steve? Steve's our best worker. Yeah, I don't care. You got to fire him. You're going to fire him, okay? Remember Kaplan? Jeff Kaplan said this, right? He had to fire so many people. And he was like, nah, I'm not going to do it. And then he left. Right? That's what it is. It's the people that want to make the cuts don't want to actually make the decisions themselves. They throw it downwards, right? Because they're faceless up there, up in the upper management levels.
The language stays very businesslike. No flowery apologies.
Let me.
The of email to the people going with their meeting time, and another to everyone staying. The language stays very businesslike. No flowery apologies.
Yep.
Everything is written as if a lawyer is reading it. And that's the contrast. One moment you have managers fighting for their teams. The next, it's all procedure and liability. And for the unfortunate managers who have to break the news, it's...
Yeah, but Mo, what you just said there, right? The last company that laid you off, right? You cussed them out to their faces because they lied to your face about the reason why. But that's, in my opinion, at least they did it in front of your face. I got fired. This is back in 2000, I want to say 7, right? I've told this story before, right? I was working on Hogan Knows Best, okay? I was out in California, and this is before cell phones. It was 2006. This is before the iPhone was even launched, okay? It was 2006. No smartphones, right? No smartphones. 2006, I was out in San Francisco. We were shooting. We were actually going to San Francisco to shoot because Nick Hogan in the show was racing. He was doing drift racing or whatever it was. There's a whole big story about that afterwards, and that's why the show got canceled. But he was racing, and we were in San Francisco. And they sent me out there. And before I left, I I had a meeting with my manager because I was there for a certain period of time. I was working full time with that company. I wasn't a freelance person. I was living the dream, okay? Because I was constantly working, okay? I said, hey, you said after this amount of time that we could talk about a raise. I brought that up to the manager. She didn't like it. She's like, no, I'm not giving you a raise. And I said, personally, all right, well, when I'm done with this season, right, the season, we're like episode 6 of like 12 or whatever. I said, I'm going to look elsewhere, right? Because you told me, you lied to me. You said I was going to have a raise by this time. I didn't get the raise at that time. So I said, I'll be looking elsewhere. Now, me being a professional, I'm giving them time, right? I'm giving them time to go, okay, well, they have to either rethink it and go, okay, well, we need to keep him, or we need to find someone to replace him, right? And I thought we were on the, a cordial, professional basis where I'm giving him, doing it. I leave that meeting. I get on an airplane. I go to San Francisco. We land. We were shooting that day, and we happened to be in the city, and I was like, hey, let me go to an Apple store. So we went to the Apple store because I needed to pick up a cable. While I was there, I was like, let me check my email. So I went on the computer, went there, looked it up. I was fired. Right? Because back then we didn't have cell phones. There was no like computers that you could check on. I just happened to go into an Apple store and check my email, and I saw it. So then I got back in the car with my producer, with the rest of the guys, right? We're sitting in the car. I'm driving, by the way, right? Let me set up a scenario for you here, okay? I'm driving, okay? I'm driving a Nissan Murano, okay? I'm driving. The producer is sitting bitch in the back, like he's sitting in the center, right? I got my first next to me, right? Because I was the camera op. I got my first next to me. I'm driving the car. We've got the other camera guy and his first in the back, and the producer sitting bitch in the middle, right? So now I'm driving. I look in the mirror and I see him, and I'm like, so, and I say his name. I'm like, when were you going to tell me? And he's like, tell you what? I'm like, I know you know. Now nobody else in the car knows nothing, right? So there's 3 other people in the car that know absolutely nothing. The producer knows, right? I know he knows because he was CC'd on the email. Okay. So I said, hey, when were you going to tell me? And he's a spineless asshole anyway, and he had no balls to say it anyway. They were just going to let me do the job. Okay. And then when I get back home, I was done. Now I know that I'm being fired the entire time. We're there for 2 weeks. This is day one on the job. So I just continue doing my job because I'm a professional. I wasn't disgruntled. I wasn't anything, right? I just said to the producer, I said, this is pretty, gutless that you guys are doing it through an email, especially. Remember, this is 2006. This is before smartphones and all this other stuff where you can check emails all the time. So I do the job for 2 weeks. I get back knowing I'm fired, and this bitch, no, I'm not going to walk, Sarge. Are you kidding me? It was fucking payday and a vacation. Are you kidding me? I was in San Francisco getting paid a lot of money. Okay. So I get back to the thing, and this bitch shows up to me and walks up to my desk. Okay. As I come, we just got back out of the, and she has the balls to say, well, you really stepped it up. You really stepped it up. And we were thinking that we're going to give you a raise. And I said, oh, all right, well, what are you giving me? And she comes in with a fucking lowball number. And I said, no. I said, this is what you're going to pay me. And if you don't pay me this, then you can find yourself another camera person. So that's exactly what I did. She said, well, we can't give you more. I said, well, you couldn't give me a raise at all before. And now all of a sudden you can give me a raise. I said, you have a nice day. So then after this point, she tried to blacklist me. She tried to blackball me at every person that had a production company in the city. Okay. But I literally got a job the next day. Because why? I'm a fucking hard worker. And that's how I kept going. Right. And then she saw me on a job and was like, asked the head lead producer on the show, because we're working for Disney for the parade. Well, what is he doing here? And he's like, well, he's working. Well, he shouldn't be working. He's like, why? He's one of the best workers. That's it, right? It doesn't matter how good you are at your job. Doesn't matter how bad you are at your job. You have spineless management that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing in their job. And they think because I didn't walk off and storm off for the job, I would be an idiot. I'm on a fucking first class trip over to across the country, getting paid a lot of money to do a show. I'm going to do my job that I got paid for, right? There's people in every business. Doesn't matter if you're working at a gas station, if you're working at one of these fucking studios. There's gutless people that can't fire you to your face, and they have to use emails and fax machines and texts and even Twitter, right? How many times have we heard in this story for these game developers that they didn't know they were getting fired until it broke on Twitter? Like, that's insane.
Sucks. Telling someone you shipped games with that they're out, it's just not fun. And after that, the big companies roll out the support. They'll usually have mental health resources, insurance docs, everything. And HR handles the mountain of paperwork. I hope this behind-the-scenes look gives you a clearer picture of how these decisions actually play out. I think sometimes when you're caught in a layoff, it helps to know what's going on behind closed doors. But look, layoffs are never a good thing. They're not good for anyone. And seeing them repeatedly right now is very concerning. It's kind of feeling these days like an epidemic. At the end of the day, the games industry is still full.
I see what you said. I'll read that in the second, soldier.
Of passionate, talented people. And the ones who are getting caught in this situation that are good at what they do, they'll land on their feet. They'll make great work somewhere else. And the companies that learn from this and start treating people like their biggest asset instead of the easiest cost to cut when things start going wrong, well, I think those teams are going to build stronger, more sustainable teams in the long run.
Yeah, the worst part about upper management is that it's a team, man. It's a team. And if it wasn't for these worker bees, as I call them, or worker ants, like the Vebs that are making the actual game, these fucking managers wouldn't have what they have. Do you know what I mean? Right? And you could say it vice versa. Well, if it wasn't for the managers, they wouldn't have the jobs that they had, the worker ants wouldn't have. Without these worker bees and worker ants, you don't have yourself a fucking product to sell or manage, right? So every day you should remember that the people that you're looking down upon, that your only reason that you're getting paid more money is because either experience or you know how to deal with a lot of people. Because a lot of people in that space do not know how to deal. It doesn't matter if they've been with the company for 25 years. They can just not deal with, trying to wrangle 100 people, 200 people, 500 people, right? Hence why certain people take the job and they think, a management job is going to be easier. I do less work. Okay. No, you get paid more because you do more work is what the way it's supposed to work. Okay. You're doing more things different than what they're doing. But without these guys, you got nothing. You don't have a product. And then without the customers, right? You don't have the money to go anywhere else in the future to make your next product, right? And all these upper managements and these suites and all these people, they forget all of that. They forget that the people that are making the game are important, and they forget the people buying the game are even more important. They just think they can just do whatever they want, and this is why we talk about let it burn. Let these companies burn because they don't care about the developers, right? They surely don't care about the customers because they make a brand, they make a product, and they think, because we made this product, you're going to buy it. And that's not how that works. You have to make an actual product that actually works, right? That actually is good. And then people go, I like this. And then they buy it. And when it's good, people buy it. And if it's shitty, people say it's shitty. And then people go, well, it's not shitty, right? Let it burn.
I think the most important intangible is the way we really try to take care of people. We're really people-oriented. A lot of companies talk about their people or being their number one asset, et cetera. But I think Tony Goodman, as our president, has really made that an important focus. He really is concerned about the people working here.
Today we're going...
Well, there you go. Give Laura Fryer a follow, give it a sub, give it a like. She makes good content there. I like watching her stuff and talking about the stuff that she talks about. Let's see here. B-Bay says, if anyone watched the original Gears of War behind the scenes video, Laura's featured and seems like such a joy to work with or for. Jesse Max says, well, 30, good job on sticking up for yourself and saying anything. I know it's hard work being a cameraman. Let me go back up here, 30. So I would have done the same as you, except I would have maybe parked the Murano in the wrong place and made sure that either way it was parking tickets. You know, to be honest, when I was back then, when I was happening, okay, I was like, I was thinking of ways. I was like, how can I fuck them over, right? But then I thought about it, and I was like, if I just do what I'm doing, I didn't change anything. I didn't become a better cameraman all of a sudden because I was getting fired. I just did my job, right? And them knowing that I knew I was fired and yet still doing the job, that had to eat away at them, right? That had to eat away at them because they knew they were fucking up. But I don't care. I know how good I am. I know what I was doing. So Turner says, we hope that someone's got accepting a managerial position so they can end up doing less work. Yeah. A lot of people do that, right? They think because they're in a managing position, they do less. You're getting paid more to do more. That's what management is supposed to be. Stay late, show up early, make sure everyone's doing their job, whatever job that is. They're like, just get the pay and, whatever. You do you. But don't be surprised if you get fired. All right. We got another video here, which we've never watched a video before. Okay. It's called How. It popped up in my stream. I watched the first 2 minutes of it, and I was like, all right, this seems interesting. So it's called WTF is Happening to the Video Game Industry. This is by How Money Works. This channel has 1.73 million subscribers. I've never heard of them before. Never. And I'm not making fun of this. It just boggles my mind every single day we're on YouTube. Okay. I watch thousands of videos, right? Thousands of videos. Nothing ever comes across. And I was like, how? 1.73 million. I've never seen not one video from this person. So it popped up, and because it's video game related, and it popped up in my stream. Link in the description down below. How Money Works is the channel's name. 1.73 million subscribers. Doesn't need my help, but we're going to watch it. If you like it, hit a like button on this channel. Hit a like button on their channel. Go over to their channel, subscribe if you like it. If not, no harm, no foul. We're going to give you content here. We're going to give you my thoughts and opinions. We get your thoughts and opinions as we go as well. Titan says, good story, 30. I aspire in your confidence in speaking out. BBA says, 30. What games were you playing at the time? Wii Sports and such. What do you mean? What was I playing back then? Oh God. 2006. I'll be honest, I don't remember. The years just blend together. At that point, 2006, that's the year 360 came out, isn't it? The 360 came out. 2001 is when the original Xbox launched. Was it 2006 was the 360? A lot of good games in 2006, 2007. And then again, 2011, 2012. Playing a shit ton of games. I think I was playing Bad Company 1 at that point. I think. I know games I play, but I don't remember the years. What was Bad Company? Battlefield, Bad Company. We played 1 and 2. You could burn. No, so Bad Company came out in 2008. So what were we playing in 2006? God, I can't remember. Give me. I need to see game releases. Game releases in 2006. Well, we got Gears. We played Gears. We played Elder Scrolls Oblivion. We played Mario Brothers. Let's see. Video games in 2006. We've got, let's see, Tom Clancy's Recon. Didn't play that. Played Elder Scrolls Oblivion. We played Gears of War. Grand Theft Auto. We played Wii Sports Bowling, obviously. I didn't play Tomb Raider Legends then. Played the Call of Duties back then. We played Guitar Hero back then. Oh, the Legos original Star Wars 2 original trilogy. We played that as well. What else we play? What else? Final Fantasy? Yeah, I guess we played that back then as well. A lot of sports games back then as well. Played all the Maddens, all the any sports game from EA that came out then. I'm trying to just look at a list here. Yeah, Gears Final. You know what's funny? When you look at this list of games that came out then, the list's not that big. List's not that big. And when you're playing games, you're playing just a few. Yeah, 2006, 2007 was a big year. 2007 was a big year in gaming across all platforms. And then again in 2011 was a big year. All right. Let's get to this. Yeah, Madden. Remember Madden? Remember Madden? I'll never buy another Madden again. We're not talking about it right now. Tonight we'll talk about it on GXG, podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about EA, how they went private. Deal went through. And just letting you know now, buckle up, because microtransactions galore, because they went from $2 billion in debt to $22 billion in debt, and they're going to put microtransactions in everything and anything, okay, to make their money back. Oh, yeah, the OG Star Wars Battlefront, yeah, we played the shit out of that on PlayStation back then. All right, here we go.
Depending on what you actually count as a video game, the industry is now generating somewhere between $200 and $350 billion a year.
Woo! Listen to that again. It just started, right off the bat.
The industry is now generating somewhere between $200 and $350 billion a year in annual revenue, making it by far the largest entertainment sector in the world, regardless of whatever your exact definitions may be.
Think how big the music industry is. Right? Look at the music industry, $25.6 billion. Then you got film and entertainment, $99.7 billion. Books, you know, the thing that still has print. Isn't that amazing? Books, print, and ebooks, $120.1 billion industry. You wouldn't think that. Video games, $192.7 billion.
More people are playing video games than ever before. They are playing them for longer, and the not-so-secret reality is
we got charts and numbers here, chat. I love it already.
That video game companies have gotten a lot better at getting money out of them while they are. The vast
Hold on, I want to look at that chart again. So the growth of social casual games is $67.7 billion, okay? Which then moves into, by 2026 fiscal year, $242.7 billion. So in 2017, the casual gamers were $67 billion. And now in 2026, 9 years later, $242 billion casual. PC gaming went from $25 billion to $42 billion. Okay? And then console games went from $23 billion to $23.8 billion. Look at this again, chat. And this is the same people that argued with me and said consoles are bigger than ever before. 2017, $23.8 billion in console games. It moves up to $23.8 billion. It's the same. It's the same 9 years later. Okay? That gap of consoles, there's only a certain amount of people that bought consoles. Yet you look at PC, it almost doubled. 25 billion to 42 billion. And casual gamers, okay, which is mobile and a bunch of other stuff, around 85% of all games revenue, games come from free-to-play games. 85% of all gaming revenue comes from free-to-play games.
Have gotten a lot better at getting money out of them while they are. The vast majority of revenue in this industry now comes from in-game purchases and advertising.
God, I fucking love stats. I love numbers and stats and charts. God, it makes me so happy. Like, look at this. The grand evolution of gaming revenue from disc sales to $197 billion of digital empire in 20 years. 20 years. Look at that blue line. Okay, subscriptions. Look at that red line. In-game microtransactions / DLC. Look at that. Take a snapshot. All you fanboys that just love talking shit. Here's the hard data right here for you. We're coming back to this this story. We're coming back to this video over and over. Every time someone comes in, be like, did you see these charts? You see these things?
Even amongst games that already have an upfront purchase cost or a recurring subscription.
Call of Duty Black Ops 3 digital console revenue by monetization stream. Look at it. Holy Christ. DLC packs all the way down over here compared to what is here. And DLC packs is all including a lot of the microtransactions and stuff. Season passes, look, right? Less. Full game downloads, less. But fucking microtransactions, man. Look at it. We're going to rewind here.
Even amongst games that already have an upfront purchase cost or a recurring subscription. Now, obviously, this hasn't been great for gamers, but at least a growing user base of people playing longer, spending more, and getting advertised to all.
Did you see that? Hold on a second, we're going to back up there.
But at least a growing user base of people playing longer, spending more, and getting advertised to.
Did you see? Look at his forehead. Is this inside Call of Duty? I don't play Call of Duty anymore. Look at his. Watch his forehead and his hair. Just watch it. You see it shift? You see that? Look at that. It's two separate entities. It's got like a wig on top of the character, and he's got like a shaved head underneath. And you can see him move. And his head moves, but the hair doesn't. Is that AI? Isn't that crazy? And people pay more for this shit. They pay more for this.
Great for gamers, but at least a growing user base of people playing longer, spending more, and getting advertised to all across more platforms has been good for the shareholders, right? Wrong. Some of the largest companies in the industry have experienced huge stock declines, multiple rounds of restructuring, narrowly avoided bankruptcy, mass layoffs, and divestitures.
Okay, hold on. There's a lot here.
Multiple rounds of restructuring, narrowly avoided.
Exclusive. Ubisoft financial turmoil points toward imminent bankruptcy in 2025.
Bankruptcy, mass layoffs.
Ubisoft closed another 2 studio layoffs, hundreds more employees. Microsoft axes about 4,800 jobs, including major cuts.
And
Unity Software has cut 25% of the staff. And the grim industry summer continues as EA lays off staff behind a $55 billion sale.
Divestitures. Over what should have been the best half-decade in the history of the industry.
How does this number keep going up, and yet more and more people are getting fired?
Overall market is down by as much as 30% from its peak, in the same time that the broader market has more than doubled. So, how is it possible that even with record sales, record new revenue streams, record numbers of new players, and record new opportunities to monetize that new audience, video game companies have still managed to screw this up so badly?
Because they're fucking morons. Because the people running these businesses are not gamers.
Video game maker Electronic Arts announcing a $55 billion deal to go private in what is said to be the largest leveraged buyout deal in Wall Street history.
The people giving you the news like this are the same people that don't fucking understand, but they're like, video games.
More than 150 million Americans are estimated to play video games. 60% of them do so every day.
Xbox is
I'm sorry, what was that stat?
Estimated to play video games. 60%.
History.
More than 150 million Americans are
150 million Americans
estimated to play video games. 60% of them do so every day.
60% do so every day. But we know that 85% of those people are playing free-to-play games.
Xbox is playing with fire, putting ads, a mobile gaming tactic, into their platform.
Electronic Arts and Take-Two Interactive both make a staggering 75% of their money from what's called microtransactions.
Microsoft announcing it is cutting about 4,800 jobs, or roughly 2.1% of the company's global workforce. The layoffs include 1,600 Xbox workers, with more expected later this year.
So, like every good shameless business video essayist, I am going to try and make what should be a pretty basic industry analysis into something bigger and more grandiose than it probably actually is, including the standard issue commentary on society itself. So, you've been warned, I guess. But in this case, there genuinely are a few factors beyond just a handful of companies making a long list of dumb decisions to create the worst of times and
we already read those.
What should be the best of times. So, the logical place to start is that long list of dumb decisions.
Okay, video game companies have seen their product involve software, people coding, and development cycles. concluded, and basically just tech companies. Why are they pushing to read this? All right,
Video game companies have seen that their product involves software, people coding, and development cycles, and concluded that they are basically just tech companies. They have also seen that they have IP, storylines, and fans, and have concluded that they are media companies. Conveniently, tech companies are worth lots of money, so a lot of the businesses in this...
We talked about this in the past. If Amazon wanted to jump in, right? Obviously, they're doing Luna. They just got their foot in the water. But if they really wanted to get into the business, they could completely just jump in and destroy what's already the what we know as the console market, right? Amazon could buy a game exclusive, like we were talking earlier, and completely change the landscape of what gaming is today. Because remember, here's a good example. Do you guys remember, because a lot of you guys watch YouTube and Twitch and stuff like that. Do you remember back in 2018, 2019, 2020 era where YouTubers and Twitch streamers were all shifting around? It was almost like we were watching sports where this person gets traded and they go to this organization, this person trades and they go to this organization, and they're just trying to make names for themselves, where Facebook brought in people to stream on Facebook, and people paid big money to move them over to Twitch, and other people moved big money over to YouTube. It started with one. It started with one creator, and then all of a sudden, everyone started moving. It's the exact same thing, right? If one person comes in and gives a contract, a big thing for one game, and it works out, other people are going to start jockeying for positions. And now you don't have a console war anymore. You have a platform war where Amazon, let's say, gets exclusive rights to the next Final Fantasy, or Netflix gets the exclusive rights for Rockstar, right? Money talks, okay? And if they give enough money to the company, they're going to get whatever they want if they truly want to get into that field.
Space, we're happy to go in this direction thinking it would translate into tech-level valuations, and for a while, it did. But in the end, what they actually ended up doing was combining the worst lessons of the tech industry with the worst lessons.
Let's back up here for a second.
And what they actually ended up doing was combining the worst.
Okay, so the media, runaway budgets, more sequels, IP fatigue, right? More time equals more better. Okay, subscriptions, everything. That's what's happening right now in the video game space as well as movie industry and music and stuff. Okay, tech. Growth all costs, move fast, break things, overhiring, subscription everything, and trend chasing. This is the number has to constantly go up, right?
Worst lessons of the tech industry with the worst lessons of the media industry. The first was that they overhired in 2020 and 2021 during lockdowns, assuming that the pandemic boom in new gamers would go on forever.
That's right. Don't ever forget that. Chat, don't ever forget that these companies, these tech guys, these suit guys, not the developers, right? The suits and the tech companies and the media corporations wanted us stuck in their houses for the rest of our lives so they could just milk us like fucking cows.
Examples like Epic Games swelled to around 5,000 employees along the way. This led to the current wave of layoffs, especially since layoffs are contagious in tech. Nobody's stock gets punished for cutting staff in the same quarter that everybody else is cutting staff. Industry trackers count around 45,000 gaming jobs cut between 2022 and the middle of last year, 14,600 of them in 2024 alone.
Yep.
And the rounds have kept coming through this year.
And just to let you know, if you go look it up, right, every year, this is not different. Since 2000, I think we looked it up, 2015 to today, so like 10 years. Within 5 years, every 5 years, there's about 40 to 60 companies close down, get fired, like they just cease to exist. For the last 15 years, every 5 years, there's about 40 to 60 companies that get closed. Well, on average, every year, there's like 12 companies being closed down to 15 to 12 companies being closed down every single year.
The second problem with trying to emulate tech companies was the obsession with making acquisitions. Microsoft in particular has gone on a massive spending spree acquiring studios to create the Netflix of gaming. They spent $7.5 billion for ZeniMax and then $68.7 billion for Activision Blizzard, the largest acquisition in the history of the industry, alongside a bunch of smaller studios to build out their Game Pass offering. Now, even regular streaming services outside of Netflix have struggled with financial viability, and the same kind of model applied to video games struggled particularly hard for reasons we will get into.
Microsoft increased Xbox Game Pass price by 50%, which was last year, which was the $30. Right?
Soon. The point for now is that by the time this shopping spree wrapped up, Microsoft's gaming division alone stood at 22,000 people, as they started struggling with returns.
Now, let's just picture this for a second. If we were still in a pandemic and we were still at home, everything that they're doing, this would be exponentially higher because that's where they want it to be, right? There was a story we did, and I know a lot of you weren't with me back then, right? We did a story about Disney Plus. Disney Plus, over 5 years, wanted to hit 100 million subscribers when they first started Disney Plus. They hit 100 million people in first 5 months or something like that. It was like 5 or 6 months. They hit 100 million people because of what was happening back then, okay? It was exponentially higher. But then what happened was they didn't have enough content on that platform, and then it started diminishing because they were just trying to milk us, and there was nothing there, okay? And this is why we got shitty shows, because they were trying to push them out as fast as possible so they can have enough content there, which is what Netflix went through when they were first growing. They weren't getting enough content, so they were paying other people to put their content on their platform, okay? Well, that's what Netflix did. That's what Disney Plus did. That's what Game Pass was doing. They were trying to get as many people on Game Pass as possible, but they weren't new games that could be on Game Pass, so they were spending money on older games to get on Game Pass to give that value for you.
And questions from their corporate overlords, they also followed the same model of product and shitification, especially among—
love that term, shitification—
games with a locked-in audience. Game Pass Ultimate got a 50% price hike in a single announcement late last year, and Xbox itself has now announced 3 separate console price rises in 15 months.
That alone is insane, right? That alone is insane.
Which I am told will be devastating for the 3 people still looking to buy one. Beyond just Microsoft, the whole industry is playing a game of eat or be eaten, with 189 M&A deals in the industry in 2025 alone, according to the investment bank Drakestar, worth a record $161 billion, around 14 times the deal value of the year before.
That is crazy, okay? $161 billion is disclosed value, largely driven by EA and Warner Brothers mega deals. Other notable deals include the $3.5 billion acquisition, okay, gaming business of Save, Scopely, and $800 billion sales of, how do you say that? AppLovin, gaming division, and Triple Dot.
To be fair, this was pushed up considerably by the $55 billion,
which just went through. The $55 billion deal just closed like 2 days ago.
Electronic Arts buyout led by the Saudi Public Investment Fund, which is the largest all-cash leverage buyout ever recorded in any industry, assuming regulators actually let it close, which, well, they probably will. More acquisitions have also furthered the trend of layoffs, as a lot of the time, these companies are just interested in the IP, not the development teams themselves.
Right. And then they get the IP, and they sit on the IP, and they do nothing with the IP. And then when they do something with the IP, they do a half-ass minimal viable product with that IP because they know that the IP, the brand, is what sells. And this is why they put out half-broken, buggy-ass games. This is why we tell you don't pre-order, don't buy day one, don't pay full price for a half-ass game, and just wait, right? I'm not telling you not to buy the game ever. I'm telling you not to pre-order it and buy it day one because when the games come out, they're broke, buggy, and unfinished. And it takes 12 to 18 months to fix them.
Embracer Group, an investment and holding company, rolled up more than 130 studios before their money ran out. The resulting unwind involved cutting around 4,500 employees and closing 44 studios. Around 80 projects just got canceled outright, while the surviving franchises got packaged into a new company for a fresh stock listing. In such a rapidly growing space, they assumed the Silicon Valley spend money and they will come mindset would work here as well.
Right.
In hindsight, it clearly hasn't worked out. But, well, why were they wrong? Well, a few reasons. The first is that a lot of gamers aren't actually gamers.
They're casual people, hence why the number went up during COVID. Because we were just all stuck in a house. You couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't do anything. So people just bought stuff and were like, oh, I never played this. It's like, you know what this is like? You know when you're sitting on the toilet and you're bored because you're just waiting for your shit to come out, okay? And you start scrolling through your phone and you start downloading apps that you only play when you're on the toilet, right? If you don't do this, you're lying to yourself because everyone does it, okay? That's it. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at casual gamers that just download things. And you play it for like maybe a half hour, maybe an hour, maybe you play it a little longer, maybe like a day total. Okay, but then you delete it. Right? They're looking at the big number when they show you the stats. Like, oh yeah, these are all casual gamers. Right? That's how it is when COVID was happening, because people were just stuck in their houses and they wanted to play something because they were bored out of their fucking minds.
Just people who happen to play a video game, which might sound like the world's sweatiest gatekeeping, but I am certainly in this category as well. In the early 2000s, gaming was still a fairly niche hobby, particularly focused on younger people, primarily men, on gaming consoles, and an even more niche group that played on their PCs. In this time, online gaming was still in its infancy, and most people had a drawer full of titles they would play through depending on what they felt like. The primary content of these games was a campaign, or
the games you already owned, or the games that you bought and you have a backlog of,
or a simple gameplay loop. That has obviously changed. Over the past 20 years, even though the number of titles and players kept going up, the number of games people actually spend their time in went down. While making this video, I looked back.
Uploading Factor says the fraction of customers are buying physical anyway. Look at the Sony backlash. Listen, I don't give a shit if one person is buying physical media. Everyone needs to have a choice to buy physical or digital. If you want to buy digital, buy digital. If you want to buy physical, buy physical. But I don't like being told that I have to buy digital. I want choice. That's where I come from. Right? When you take that choice away and you make me only buy digital, no, sir. Music industry, film industry, book industry, all have physical and digital. Gaming, for some reason, can't do it. Why?
Through my old binder, and there were at least 20 games that I would play on any given year in rotation. Today, I play 2 games, and while I would like to make an excuse like I am getting old and just have more responsibility these days, the truth is I probably spend longer playing these games in any given week than I did playing all of these.
Sure.
Beyond the personal anecdote, this is a documented trend across the wider industry. Unlike other media like music or movies, people can commit far more time to consuming a video game. And live service games and a multiplayer focus can extend that time commitment to basically infinite. The only real limitation is the number of hours people have in a day, and an increasing share
who's talked about this before? Way before everybody else started talking about this.
Of those hours are being spent on forever games. Despite recent trends and understandable complaints.
That's another dumb take. Nobody wants junk physical discs. Not going to lie. I haven't bought a physical game since 2017. Oh, well, then I guess that means nobody's bought any physical games. Again, you guys are arguing over stupid things, right? Nobody's saying that digital can't exist, but people are buying digital say that physical can't exist. And then you start dealing and agreeing with the corporations that don't give 2 shits about the customers, okay? All we want is choice to still buy physical. Doesn't hurt you if you still buy digital. Buy digital.
Video gaming is still largely a very cost-effective form of entertainment, but the limit new games are running into is not that their customers are running out of money to spend, it's that they are running out of time to spend, as most of their hours are already accounted for. According to Newzoo's playtime tracking, in 2024, 57% of total playtime was spent on games 6 or more years old, a further 32% on games 1 to 5 years old, and only 12.
Look at that. Look at that stat again.
In 2024, 57% of total playtime was spent on games 6 or more years old, a further 32% on games 1 to 5 years old, and only 12% on games released that year. Back in 2021, those older games were only taking 39% of playtime. That share has climbed 18 points in 3 years. For PC, this trend is even more concentrated among.
You want physical to die so distribution is streamlined. How does that help you as a customer? How does that help you as a customer because physical is still there, even though you can still buy your game digital? I'll wait. How does right now you buy digital? How does physical ruin your purchase of digital right now, streamlined? We'll wait. It helps me because I care about the environment. Okay, that seems fair. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. I care about the environment as well. I care about the environment as well. So I'm gonna hide you from the chat because I don't like trash in my community. So we're gonna We're going to remove the trash because I also care about the environment of my channel.
Amongst older gamers, with 67% of playtime going to 6-year-old games, even though they theoretically have a wider selection of independent new releases at significantly lower prices than console games. An extreme example of this is that one of the writers here at Works Media, not pointing any fingers, has over 10,000 hours playing League of Legends, and an otherwise totally neglected library full of Steam games. The top 5 titles on PC accounted for 30.4% of all hours on their own, and Fortnite by itself was 9.3% of all track playtime across PC and console combined.
Holy Christ. Go back to that.
Was 9.3% of all track playtime.
Fortnite remains the most played game with 9.3 of total playtime in 2024 versus 9.1 in 2023.
Across PC and console combined. So, while in theory, the total addressable market is better than ever, most of these studios are actually just fighting over a shrinking pile of scraps. Industry analyst Matthew Ball estimated that outside of annualized franchises, thousands of games backed by tens of billions of dollars were competing for around 5.6% of total player hours, and 4 titles won half of it. So, yeah. The industry has basically broken into studios that have managed to create a hit game and they are just milking it. And studios take
100. But here's the thing. Can you blame them? Right? Can you blame that they're just making games and just milking them? No. I love how they put Helldivers 2. He couldn't find another game. He couldn't put High Guard over there. He had to put Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is a very successful game, but obviously it doesn't fit over there with the Concord Marathon.
Taking huge risks on the hope that they can produce the next one. It's just simply much, much harder to sell a casual $70 game these days, which has created some much more serious downstream problems. So it's time to learn how many works to find out how the gaming industry is imploding under the weight of its best years ever. This video is sponsored by Monarch. If you have ever tried to track your money across multiple apps and accounts, you know how easy it is to lose sight of the big picture. Monarch is a private, ad-free personal finance platform that syncs all your accounts from 13,000 plus institutions into one clean dashboard. What I like about Monarch is that it does not try to make you obsess over every transaction. It separates your fixed and flexible spending, shows you your progress on goals, and lets you know when something unusual happens, all in plain English. You stay aware without being
I bet you most people don't even pay attention to their expenses. I do.
Overwhelmed. My partner and I actually use the shared view for our monthly budget check-ins. We both see the same dashboard, the same goals, and same recurring bills. It has cut out most of the awkward money conversations because there are no surprises. Monarch also tracks your net worth over time and gives you clear timelines for saving and paying down debt, so you can see whether you are actually making progress instead of just hoping you are.
I got a massive lightning and thunder outside the window. If we lose connection, that's what's happening.
And because you are the customer and not the product, Monarch is completely ad-free with bank-level encryption. No data selling, no ads in your financial dashboard. Try Monarch yourself. Start the free trial, then scan the QR code on screen or use the link in my description for 50% off your first year. Okay, so gamers are basically barricaded inside the same 5 games they have been playing for a decade, which has led many studios to conclude that the only logical move
the fucking Concord, man,
is to create the next big live service game or die trying. This has created a trend of massive games with limitless features put together by huge teams with enormous budgets. The problem is that if these games fail to break through, they become extremely expensive dead weights. This also means that even at full price, a lot of these titles can't make their money back on unit sales alone, so they are leaning more on in-game purchases and in-game advertising.
Of course. And this is why Game Pass is trying that, the ad where you watch, 2 minutes of ads and you get an hour worth of playtime?
If these never eventuate, because nobody ends up spending that much time in the game, losses can be devastating even with decent upfront sales. And of course, it's a lot worse without them. Sony spent 8 years and a reported $200 million on
This is why, Scott, we got rid of the trash night. Okay? I have no problem with people having conversation and stuff, but people that just say shit to say shit, we don't need them. We move on. All right?
Developing Concord, their big hero shooter answer to Overwatch. It sold an estimated 25,000 copies, and the servers were switched off 2 weeks.
He can still watch. He can type away all he wants. He can type right now. He's like, oh, fuck 30. Fuck you son of a bitch. It doesn't matter. He's just typing into the void right now.
Weeks after launch with full refunds all around. Warner Brothers did the same thing with their Suicide Squad game, which missed so badly that the company disclosed a $200 million hit to earnings. And then they did it again a few months later with a $100 million write-down, mostly pinned on multiverses. Now, I know it's fun to point and laugh, but it's going to keep happening. Because of the network effect of these games, the results are increasingly polarized. They are either a smash hit or a monumental failure. People want to play games with their friends.
Well, the problem is, it's a smash hit because it doesn't matter if the game is shitty. If it sells well, it's successful. If the game is fantastic and doesn't sell well, then it's a failure. And if a game is just a bad game, it doesn't sell. And if a game is a good game, it does sell because people like playing that game. It's very on and off. That's it.
So they play the games their friends are playing. And if their friends aren't playing a given game, they probably won't either. Helldivers 2 or Marvel Rivals, or even something like Among Us and Mecha Chameleon have broken through and they are printing money from people who want something to play with their friends, but that self-reinforcing concentration means everything else is running a greater risk of becoming another Concord.
Right. Because they're trying to figure it out. Hence why Sony is tripling down on live service games, even though they canceled 12 live service games. Because out of that 12, and we talk about movies all the time here, right? If a studio makes 10 movies a year and one of them is successful, 2 make a little money, break even or just a little money, 7 of them are failures. But they're okay taking that risk. So if Sony wants to make 12 video games over the next 3 years or 5 years, one of them, just one, that's all you need, one, is to be successful, and it's worth it for them.
But the problem is now, even if they do find a cash cow, there is an incentive to milk it until it curdles to find the next mega development. Sony paid $3.6 billion for Bungie in 2022, then tapped Destiny as hard as they could to fund the development of Marathon, and then Marathon flopped.
That's terrible, right?
3.6
billion. Destiny lost 91% of their player base, 97% from the final shape.
As hard as they could to fund the development of Marathon, and then Marathon flopped as well. Sony has now written down around $766 million on that studio in a single fiscal year. Destiny 2 got its final content update last month, and about half of Bungie has been laid off. Even the biggest winner of them all is slowing down. Fortnite engagement has been falling since 2025. Epic laid off over 1,000 people this year, saying that they
less people playing, more people spending money.
Were spending significantly more than they were making, and we have to make major cuts to keep the company funded. This heavy push towards live service games that dominate people's time and drive recurring spending also means that people are increasingly treating games as a social outlet. Potentially, you might even say some modern version of a third place. As such, and hot take alert, a lot of people don't really want something new. They want something familiar.
Absolutely. Hence why the companies are now making remakes, remasters, right? Why you want to play Black Flag, why you want to go play Oblivion, why you want, you know what I mean? You want the same franchises, you want remakes and remasters, or you want the sequel to the thing that you love.
Friends like to hang out in common environments, and especially as the average gamer gets older, now 36 years old in America, that becomes even stronger. This trend of playing fewer games but playing them...
Now you understand why the channel's named 30 and Still Gaming?
for much longer also explains the challenges that came with the subscription services like...
It's not me. It's the average gamer. It's 30 and above. 30 and Still Gaming.
Game Pass. In theory, a modest monthly subscription for access to a massive library of games was a great deal, and probably more cost-effective than getting a similar selection of content through something like Steam. The problem was that people were only playing a small
Yeah, but the problem with that, Scott Wilson, it's not about if it fails. Obviously, it's the first film that's ever made in full IMAX. And IMAX costs 50% more than a regular theater. So less people are actually seeing the film, but it's making a shit ton of money, right? It's going to break $1 billion easily. But not saying it's a bad movie in any way, shape, or form. There's just less people seeing the film than if it was in a regular theater. The regular theaters are not selling out. They're wide open, right? But the IMAX theaters are packed. Now, this weekend, Spider-Man comes into the IMAX theaters. So we'll see what happens there, right? Because Spider-Man did what it did with no IMAX, 0 IMAX theaters. Okay, and it wasn't shot in IMAX, but it doesn't have IMAX, you know, it wasn't filmed in IMAX, like fully, okay, or at all, I don't think, okay? But way more people are seeing Spider-Man than people are seeing Odyssey. I'm not telling you Odyssey is a bad movie in any way, shape, or form. I haven't seen it. But what I am saying is more people are seeing Spider-Man than they're seeing Odyssey, but Odyssey is making a shit ton of money because of IMAX, because of more people are spending, or less people are spending more money.
Collection of games anyway, so having access to hundreds of titles didn't really mean much when they were only actually playing 2 of them. Microsoft reportedly set itself an internal target of 77 million Game Pass subscribers,
which is better than 100 million. Well, you got to give them to them there.
By this year. Again, assuming that this was just another streaming service or tech offering, this wasn't completely unreasonable. In reality, it got to 34 million. Tried that 50% price hike from earlier.
Well, if they really wanted to, I've talked about this in another video. If they move Battle.net people over to Game Pass, they would increase it by an additional 35 million. And then it would be like 3 million short of their 70 million or 70 whatever million that they wanted.
To squeeze more out of the subscribers it did have, and promptly lost around 4 million.
Which they might do still.
Of them. Now, of course, this is a generalization. Everybody spends their time differently. And if you are personally someone that likes to try a new title every month, congratulations. You are probably having a lot more fun than everybody else. But for everybody else, there is one place left to actually find extra hours in people's day. Mobile. People just spend more time on their phones than sitting down at a dedicated PC or console to do gaming. This becomes particularly true for the filthy washed masses of more casual gamers. The share of direct mobile game revenue is now bigger than PC
video game sales by category, excluding in-game advertising
and console combined.
So arcade, which looks like it's dead in like 2020, almost 2022. Then you got console, which looks like it died in 2024. Okay. And then you have handheld. Okay. You got handheld, which is now the console, which is just included into that. Then you have PC, which has grown. And with all this physical media going away, if you're going to pay digital, then you might as well just go PC instead of getting a console. Doesn't make sense for PlayStation 6 or Xbox Helix. Okay. Then you look at mobile. Holy Christ, look at the mobile. Right? And then you have VR and AP.
$103 billion last year against $86 billion for the other two put together. Now, you probably already knew all this, but the point is that this can be a lot more lucrative because mobile games are generally much simpler in design.
Excuse me. Sure, Jax. Yeah. They took the gold and just merged it in. That's how they did that as well. I think down the line they could do the same thing with Battle.net. Now, if they take Game Pass and merge it with Battle.net, or if they make Battle.net into Game Pass, that could potentially happen if they want to grow it.
And develop,
because PlayStation did the exact same thing with theirs when they took theirs and merged it into PlayStation Plus as well. And same with Nintendo. Nintendo did the same thing. They all did the exact same thing.
And also have a system more naturally conducive to microtransactions. Often, payment can be handled through the same phone that people are playing on, which strips out the transaction friction that games on other platforms have to fight through. Again, this is well documented. But if studios are going to choose a proper game for real gamers, there needs to be a very good commercial reason why they wouldn't spend the same resources on building dozens of games for a much larger, more lucrative market.
That's fake growth? Sure. But for the business, they just need the investors to think, oh, look, number go up. Like, there's no, like, official guard that's like, well, you can't do that. You're inflating your numbers. What did Netflix do? What did Netflix do? Netflix is like, hey, we're not sharing codes anymore. And because of that, it went up high. Because they said, we're going to get you. You can't do that. Right? So they inflated their growth because they forced people to. Now instead of, 4 people in the house have to have 4 accounts or whatever. You know what I mean? They all do it. They all do it to make the number go up. For investors, for the suits.
The only real justification is the chance at making the next big live services game. On the other end of the development spectrum, it's never been easier for independent studios or even individual people to create their own game and publish it thanks to robust game engines in platforms like Steam or even Roblox. But this means that basic indie games are an incredibly crowded space with immense competition. More than 19,000 games were released on Steam last year alone, and nearly half of them got fewer than 10 user reviews. To differentiate them,
Netflix example is actual growth. If Netflix wasn't oversaturated, why would they keep raising the prices? Why would they keep raising the prices? If they actually have actual growth, You know what I mean? Netflix is saturated. Hence why they keep raising the price of Netflix, because less people are having Netflix accounts. So they have to keep charging more people. Hence why Xbox did what they did. Hence why PlayStation makes the PSVR 2 and the Portal, because they're milking the people that are already within the market, because they're not getting new acquisitions. They have to milk the people that are already in the ecosystem.
Themselves, game companies have felt the need to create significantly higher-end titles that wouldn't be possible for smaller teams to put together. This has created a missing middle of games that are a cut above the indie selection in terms of features, but aren't monster AAA titles that cost more than Avatar to make. Court documents filed by Activision revealed that Black Ops Cold War cost around $700 million to develop before marketing.
Bro, what in the world? $700 million for Call of Duty.
Despite, well, let's be honest, not really being that much different from any other COD games released in the last 10 years. In the past, studios could try to create a consistent roster of decent games.
Do you see it? Look at all the Rockstar games. Look at this. We've shown this clip before, right? 98, 99, they got 3. They got 4 games. They got 5 games. They got 3 games. They got 3 games. They got 3 games. They got 3 games. Every year.
Did well. That was great.
Until you hit
flopped, that wasn't ideal.
Right there. And then you have nothing.
Wasn't crippling. Today, even the biggest studios are kind of going all in on the success of their next release with very little margin of error if it doesn't work out.
Why aren't you getting Elder Scrolls 6? Why aren't you getting the next thing? Because people are still playing the old stuff.
Now, to play devil's advocate a bit here, betting big is not totally irrational when one Fortnite can pay for 20 flops. But the problem is that everybody is making that same bet at the same time into the same fixed pool of player hours. The frustrating part is that when anybody actually funds...
That's right. Because the pool on console is the exact same. We'll give it 200 million, even though it's 250. But they're combining all the stuff. But I own multiple consoles. You own multiple consoles. Okay? It's the same 250 million people. And they all want you to play all these live service games. There's no growth because it's the same people. That's it. And the people that are going over to PC and stuff like that, this is the same. And the people that are over on PC still own the consoles. They still count as part of that overall 250 million.
The middle, it can still work. Expedition 33 was made by a core team of around 30 people for under $10 million, sold 5 million copies in its first 6 months, and swept the Game Awards. It obviously can work, but I guess you also need to actually make a good game, which capital investment alone can't guarantee. And even if it does, it's probably going to get ripped off anyway. So yeah, the third big issue is clearly one that is not unique to gaming. If you ever see a YouTube video that does well, you can be pretty sure that there will be 20 other videos that copy it in the coming months, because making an original YouTube video normally takes a fair amount of time and effort. And if it doesn't do well, it can cause serious problems. Copying a video is easy. It comes with some guarantee of success. That's the exact reason why I've decided to mix things up and steal the Smoothie King's talking points and thumbnail for this video. Now hopefully it goes without saying that I am joking. I will always leave a link in the description below, and we mostly discuss different things.
Same. I always leave links in the description down below.
But the point is, this clearly happens everywhere on YouTube as people just naturally follow basic incentives. The same is true 10 times over for video games. Any game that does well is going to be copied by dozens of people with tools that make basic game design relatively simple. This is especially the case with people porting paid indie games into Roblox for free with inbuilt microtransactions.
Which we covered a story about Mecha Chameleon when Bill Your News was talking about it, about how there was 10 copycats of Mecha Chameleon on Roblox that are all outdoing Mecha Chameleon itself by tens of millions of players.
Last summer, Peak, one of Steam's best-selling games of the month, got cloned on Roblox almost immediately. The copy pulled in 6 million visits in about 2 weeks, monetized with Roblox's own microtransaction system, while the studio that actually made the game got nothing. The game developers said that they would rather you pirate their game than play the microtransaction-riddled Roblox slop ripoff.
Which is true.
Which is a sentence an actual game studio felt the need to post in 2025. Roblox is running 132 million daily users and 31 billion hours of engagement every quarter, which the same Matthew Ball from earlier estimates is about the same engagement as Steam, PlayStation, and Fortnite.
Well, I think it's great, though, that what you're saying, Ray. I've been talking about this for years, but now other people are starting to talk about it, right? Everyone denied it, but now other people are starting to talk about it. Yeah, there was been no growth. No one talked about it until I think it was Matt Pescatella said that the guy from Circana talked about how they haven't grown since 2008. And everyone's like, yeah, it hasn't grown since 2008. Like, everyone's talking about it now.
Combined. Now, obviously, this is bad. But the point is, for large studios, it further means that they need to make games with some kind of moat around them to defend against obvious ripoffs. And the easiest one is to make something too complex to copy, and then integrate recognizable IP in addition to some guarantee of players being around for consistent online multiplayer. Now, it sounds bad, but it gets worse, because this has literally already happened before. The last time this industry drowned itself in cheap copies of whatever it was selling, it was 1983, and the American home video game market fell by around 90%.
And what happened then? A crash. A crash happened then.
7% in 2 years. So yeah, I'm not exactly going to feel bad for the big gaming companies. They have made plenty of their own mistakes and have leaned into anti-consumer practices to compensate for their own failing. But it's not been an easy time to be a game studio either.
Real quick, I want to go back to that chart. Okay? I want to go back to this chart. Right? This is why Nintendo became successful right here. Because they were making so much garbage back then. There were so many games for the Atari and stuff back then. They were oversaturating the market, and then it crashed. And then Nintendo came out and was like, hey, here we are. Okay? Now, obviously, if you look at the color, there's console here, this green line. Where's PC? Here's PC, right? This is the PC color. PC has been around, okay? And when people used to argue with me that multi-plat didn't exist, yet there was games on the Nintendo and also the Apple IIc and all the other computers that came out that you could play your floppies and put it through, okay, that was also on consoles, and there was multi-plat. They're like, it wasn't multi-plat. You have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, PC has been around since the beginning, and yet everyone's like, oh, PC, yeah, it wasn't as big because it was more expensive. And the reason that people liked consoles because it was more convenient. It was cheaper, okay? But now they've lost their goddamn mind, right? They've lost the script. PlayStation, Xbox, all charging close to $1,000 for their systems and probably over $1,000 for their next systems. Nobody needs your consoles. Nobody needs your consoles. Everyone's like, well, yeah, PCs are going up in price too. Yes, but they do a hell of a lot more than the old stuff that you're already putting in the console, right? So going forward, if you're going all digital and they're getting rid of physical, you might as well go with PC and not worry about the ecosystem of Sony and the ecosystem of Nintendo, or I'm sorry, of Xbox, because both of them will go away just like the Dodo did, okay? And like Sega did, where Sega's Dreamcast was an amazing box, but they couldn't make it because Sony basically shut them out of the industry, and they just became a publisher, right? Sony and Xbox are in trouble because this is all they could become in the future. And then you only get the first-party titles of Sega, and they'll make a deal of who they're putting it on. If they sign with Epic or they sign with Steam, that's how it's going to work in the future.
The game market fell by around 97% in 2 years. So yeah, I'm not exactly going to feel bad for the big gaming companies. They have made plenty of their own mistakes and have leaned into anti-consumer practices to compensate for their own failing. But it's not been an easy time to be a game studio either. Now, if you want to see this whole dynamic play out on a wider scale, go and watch this video next to unpack the financial reasons we keep on making so much junk. And don't forget...
There you go. I like the video. I like the charts and stuff that he had in here. We might watch some of his other videos down the road. So go check out How Money Works. Links in the description down below, his channel there. Give it a like. Give it a sub. Yeah, it's good stuff. A lot of stuff there to go over. You know, and then when he talks about the stats and charts, and people are like, "Oh yeah, let them burn," right? Look, the reason there were so many awesome studios to pick from is because they started off small and then built up their games because they were fighting to be seen. They were fighting for your money. Now they think it's a default that you're going to give them money. Why? Because they exist, not because they're trying to give you a good product. Just for existing, just for having the IP they paid $3 billion for, because they paid $4 billion for the IP, because they paid $7 billion for the IP. They think it's a baked-in audience that automatically comes with that. Instead of earning your money. It resets every time. Okay, you made a game here. Well, now 5 years from now, you got to earn it again. It's not automatic, but a lot of people, the consumers, they just keep giving it. They're like, oh, you made the last game, so this game must be great. Or you just wait and then make them prove it to you that their game is great instead of just handing over $70, $80, $90, $100 for a game that you don't know if it works when it comes out. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Ray says console gamers don't want to accept the mobile has become better than console. The only problem is mobile has right now, it's a limited storage size, which goes away if you're playing on cloud, right? Then you just need the ecosystem of the internet, which I think they upgraded my internet. I think they upgraded my internet recently while I was gone. They laid that fiber down, I think. Let me do a speed test real fast. Let me do a speed test real fast because I think they raised it. Yeah, they did. I'm getting 700 down and 45 up. So they did something, but it's not the fiber that I thought was happening. But I definitely have more internet speed. GDP says industry is in transitional period, no doubt. Turner says, well, we all know that Callahan, different sources of revenue is the reason some of these companies are even alive still, because we also counted the purely hardware growth, and they would also be dead by now. Right. And I don't think anyone should be bailed out. I think you should earn what you have. Kraken says, well, what am I going to do, 30? Not buy it? The Avengers... the average consumer, keyword, consumer. That's right. Rod says, Randy Pitchford made me get a second job to play Borderlands 4. Yeah, are you doing the ice cream thing on Pebble Beach? Pebble Beach? Justin Duff says, welcome to the future, 30. You now sell all of your physical media and stream. That's right. Wouldn't you need the fiber to plug into your router to get the benefit of it? They have, Spectrum has this thing which is coax fiber. So they do fiber up to the road and then from the road to the house. So they didn't have to change anything in my actual house, but they have fiber running up the street to the point here, and then it comes from the street to the house on the coax cable that was already coming to the house. GDP says, everyone should just go play Big Walk with friends. It'll make you feel positive about the gaming again. I saw a little bit of the video last week when you talked about it. I watched the video. It seemed interesting. Tarda says, poor Randy. He's probably just sitting somewhere in a room with Tim Sweeney, and the name of the room is Out of Touch. Kraken says, yeah, Frontier did the same with my fiber. They didn't need to come in and install anything. Yeah, they just ran it for the last 2 weeks. They were running wires in the front of the house, and apparently now it's just faster. I really want the upload speed higher. I didn't really need the download speed higher, but I'll take it. The upload speed's a bit higher, but not much. We paid, I think we were paying for 300 down, and then it was 20 up, and now we're getting 700 down and 35 up. Altern, thank you very much.
At Altern 14 celebrates 33 months of membership.
33 months more than what marathon will stay alive.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the continued membership for 33 months. Appreciate you. The song Out of Touch plays inside the room. I have 2 gigabytes up and 2 gigabytes down. It's amazing. Oh, see, that's what I want. I need more upload for streaming wise. I played Mistfall Hunter for about 30 minutes, Roic. I did not like it. I didn't like the way the what's it called? the characters. I was using the arrow, the bow and arrow and stuff. I just didn't like it. It was too clunky. And I was like, you know what? I did watch people play it. It's interesting watching people play it, but I had no interest in it. Just enough says I got lucky when I moved. I got 1,000 up, 1,000 down. We had better internet where I was in the boons just a couple days ago. So he had better internet where I was, but then we had a storm. I couldn't stream the next day. Yeah, it's on Game Pass, Altern. Miss Fall Hunter? Yeah, it's on Game Pass. All right. We're going to be back tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern for Generation X Gaming, a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. That's 8 p.m. right here on this channel, 30NSG. And then we'll be back. We're off for the weekend, and we'll be back on Monday for the Daily Grind. This week I was out of town, but Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern, we have this. We just go for news stories, have conversations, give you my thoughts and opinions. We get your thoughts and opinions with chat. I appreciate it very much. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you are. And we'll see you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here for GXG. Peace.
Promise wrapped in neon light. Everyone online said it changed their life. Started up the game and watched it play. Guess I'm just along for the ride again today. Walk real slow through another empty hall. Character keeps talking while I do nothing at all. Hold the stick forward, that's the big design. 10 out of 10 every single time. And I miss those nights, failing 20 times. Now everything survives itself without me trying. Gaming lost its soul somewhere, buried underneath perfect scores and scripted